Chapter 968. Chu Zijin came back to her senses. As one of the most popular female anchors on Bamboo, of course she knew what Chen Guang was talking about. Some time ago, brother Little Tsong had created some original webcams on his Bamboo live streaming platform. It had quite a bit of influence. Although Little Tsong did not manage to create a hit, it was just as Chen Guang had said. His directing team must have been well trained, and they should be able to put it on the stage. However, this was not in line with Chu Zijin's position deep in her heart. If she wanted to create a hit, then she had to invest a lot, make a big production, and make a big scene. The safest way, of course, was to learn from the big IPs that had mature experience overseas. But now Chen Guang rejected it flatly. She knew that she could persuade Chen Guang, which was not difficult. Because Chen Guang had almost 100% trust in her, but she was not willing to do so. With the example of Bacino and Fulia raising prices temporarily, it was hard to guarantee that other foreign companies would not raise prices like this. There were never good people in the business world, and it was the nature of businessmen to pursue profits. The value of a mature variety IP abroad was influenced by the influence of the IP itself, but also by the time. But what really determined the price was the final layer of supply and demand. Chen Guang's request was not clear, but if one thought about it carefully, if Tianguang Media first launched a passable variety show, they would have a certain amount of accumulation and influence in this industry, and then they would not be so passive when buying other people's IPs. Under the same supply and demand situation, when the other company negotiated with a company with successful production experience, they would have to think carefully if they wanted to raise the price. After all, other people had another choice besides buying their IPs. If you raised the price too high, people would feel that it was not worth it, and if you annoyed them, they could produce their own original works. It was the same for those foreign companies. When they realized that they were no longer the only choice, their judgment of their own value would naturally be lowered. I understand what you mean. Do you have any good ideas for original works? Chu Zijin rubbed her eyes and asked. Ever since she became the CEO of Tianguang Media, her life had undergone earth-shattering changes. Her life had become extraordinarily fulfilling, but she had also lost a lot of freedom. She could no longer be like before, tossing aside everything else when she was interested in something and focusing on it without a care in the world. Now, on her shoulders was a company with a market value of 20 billion yuan and a cash flow of 1 billion yuan. Even if Chen Guang's support had restored some confidence in the company, she still had to show tangible results as soon as possible. However, she did not regret it. Although this matter was bigger and more complicated, it was also something that she truly enjoyed, and she enjoyed it. Chen Guang and Chu Zijin had a video conference for about half an hour. Chu Zijin originally saw that Chen Guang had many successful ideas in the past and hoped that he could give some constructive suggestions. Unfortunately, those ideas that Chen Guang came up with were not his good ideas at all. They were all to meet the needs of the heavenly Holy Grail. How could he have any creativity? Chu Zijin was making things difficult for him by asking him to come up with ideas. Even if he racked his brains to come up with some fantastic ideas, it would all be based on one premise, and that was that he had to participate in it himself. Otherwise, it would be a fool's dream to expect others to be like him and make a big scene out of something so ordinary. After the two of them hung up, Chen Guang went to read his script without a care in the world. Chu Zijin was still sitting on the chair in the office, holding a pen and paper in her hand. She rocked the chair and began to rack her brains to come up with ideas. After a while, she sat up straight again and dialed Chang Xiaotsong's number. Brother Little Tsong was overjoyed and agreed to cooperate immediately. He even wanted to select the elites from his own directing teams to form the strongest national team. He thought that Chen Guang was going to stir up something again, and that he would no longer be like before, but planned to operate as a long-term variety show. However, he quickly calmed down. After all, it was just a variety show that he and Tianguang Media were working together to create, and it had nothing to do with Chen Guang. Little Tsong's enthusiasm immediately dissipated. It was the same show, but there was a world of difference between Chen Guang and Chen Guang. However, he couldn't make Chen Guang lose face. After all, they had worked together happily in the past. If it wasn't for Chen Guang, he wouldn't be where he was today. After some discussion, the two of them finally came up with a preliminary intention over the phone. There was no chance for the national team, but they had just finished filming High Goddess. The directing team of Net Brown had been idle recently, so it was just right for them to cooperate. Little Tsong was very kind. Logically speaking, the team was all his people, so the copyrights should belong to his Bamboo Entertainment. However, Tianguang Media was just a new company and urgently needed results. Little Tsong decided to do a big favor. He simply loaned the entire team to Tianguang Media. The specific operation was similar to the loan of players in a football club. The rental fee wasn't low. It was 5 million yuan in cash, and the period was 3 to 4 months. However, Tianguang Media didn't need to fork out a single cent, because Bamboo Entertainment would, in turn, buy the online broadcast rights of the variety show. Little Tsong originally wanted to increase the price to 10 million yuan, and pay 5 million yuan in return, but Chu Zijin rejected his good intentions. However, Little Tsong compensated from another angle. He promised to provide 30 million yuan of promotional funds before the show was broadcast. The two contrasted, which was equivalent to Tianguang Media not spending a single cent to rent High Goddess. The copyrights of the show would belong to the team, and they would also receive 30 million yuan of promotional funds from Little Kong. The income from the later stages of the entire project, such as the on-demand copyright on other video stations, the copyright licensing with the TV stations, the profits from advertising sponsorships, and so on, would all belong to Tianguang Media. Of course, in contrast, if they had to invite celebrities, pay appearance fees, and operate the other production costs of the show, it would all be Tianguang Media's responsibility. Latong calculated that even without the copyright licensing fees, to produce an excellent show would require at least 100 million yuan of investment. The phone call between Chu Zijin and Cheng Xiaozong was very smooth, and the final result was also satisfactory. The concessions given by Bamboo Entertainment were unprecedented, and it was impossible for others to get such preferential conditions. What really made Little Tsong make up his mind was something that Chu Zijin had said. Chen Guang promised that at the appropriate time, he would also participate in the show, at least once. This was the reassurance in Little Tsong's heart. Even if he really only appeared once, the 30 million yuan of promotional funds and the director team that was sent out for free for a few months would be worth the ticket price. After hanging up the phone with Little Tsong, Chu Zijin let out a long breath. This was considered a solid first step. She had no idea what the effect of this original variety show would be like. However, this wasn't important. With Chu Zijin's personality, she would first set a direction, and then work hard with all her might. Before losing to Chen Guang, she had never lost before. But from what angle should she start the show? Imitating The Ultimate Challenge or Million Billionaire? However, if she blindly copied, she would not be able to understand the skills behind the scenes of the other party. It was very likely that she would only learn the form, and would not be able to grasp the essence of the other party's show. At that time, it wouldn't be good if the show was neither fish nor fowl. Then how should she shoot it? Chu Zijin leaned back on the chair, her fingers casually tapping on the keyboard. The more popular variety shows in Huaxia in the past 2 years flashed like a slide on the computer screen. She once again fell into a long thought. The next morning, Chen Guang got up early and drove the car left by Lu Xiaoyang straight to Shudian Film City. As for Lu Xiaoyang, he had been sent to connect with the person in charge of Little Tsong's team. It just so happened that the other party was also in Yanjing, so it saved him a lot of trouble. Chen Guang almost arrived at the film city just in time to start work. As soon as he arrived, the entire crew operated efficiently under the guidance of the high-spirited Big Beard. The high-intensity shooting in the film city that lasted for a month officially began. Yesterday, he had used his Grandmaster-level theoretical knowledge to frighten everyone here. Today, He had used an even more terrifying performance technique to make everyone here almost forget about time. Deng Xiaojiang never thought that a movie could be shot in this way. The whole day passed, and it seemed that he had nothing else to do. He kept shouting, "It's done, okay, this one's done, not bad, very good, perfect." Other than that, he almost couldn't find anything else to do. He didn't even need to keep an eye on the cameraman's position. As long as Chen Guang stood there, everything seemed so logical and so perfect. Whether it was the other actors, the cameraman, the props, or even the positioning of the extras, the whole set was in a state of mind in an instant. There was no need for a trial shoot, no need for overshooting, no need for rehearsals, and no need for NGs. The whole shooting process was natural, smooth as silk. He didn't need to worry about the feeling of the picture he wanted at all. For example, the cameraman carrying the camera, or the moving camera, could always appear in the right place at the right time and get the effect he wanted, even exceeding his expectations. Whether it was fixed shooting or the sense of urgency caused by the shaking caused by the camera, he could get whatever he wanted and even more. He even had a strong sense of self-doubt in his heart. I actually became a cheering chief director. But very soon, this thought disappeared in his heart. The reason was very simple: he also forgot that he was shooting a movie. He completely forgot his own identity. It was as if he had become a part of the set, a machine responsible for shouting start and end. It wasn't until the whole day's footage was shot 2 hours earlier that Big Beard came back to his senses. Looking at the perfect picture on the monitor, he was speechless for a long time. I might be a fake director. Is this guy Chen Guang a human or a ghost? Does he have magic? This is too scary. Compared to the previous shooting, the whole set actually had a more fundamental change. It was the difference between having Chen Guang and not having Chen Guang. Chapter 969. Director Deng, didn't I tell you that he is good at acting? Yang Shi ran behind Big Beard Deng like a ghost and said coldly. Big Beard Deng nodded, but you didn't say that he was so good, okay? The whole set is shrouded by him. He didn't even let go of the dog that was acting as a cameo. Look at that husky, it's so obedient, it doesn't even gnaw on slippers. Yang Shi smacked his lips. Maybe Chen Guang's ability has been upgraded again? Chen Guang, who was walking past the two of them, pricked up his ears and laughed evilly. Yes, that's right, the old man had been upgraded. It was not that he had practiced in the acting world, but that among the 400,000 unique martial arts that he had learned in the realm of true martial arts, there were thousands of unorthodox martial arts skills. These unorthodox martial arts skills did not train the physical body of a martial artist, but mainly focused on the mind. They could strengthen the martial artist's willpower and use their mental strength to suppress others. For example, a powerful martial artist could make the martial artist's heart tremble with a glare of anger, causing the martial artist's inner strength to be disrupted and causing him to vomit blood and fall to the ground. Another example was when a martial artist appeared with a frosty face, the surrounding temperature would drop imperceptibly, causing the hair of others to stand on end and the skin to feel cold. In fact, it was because the martial artist's mental strength had shrouded the area, causing the weaker martial artists to naturally feel fear. This was the so-called aura that people often talked about. Those who had been in high positions for a long time also had such an ability. In fact, it was the impact brought about by the absolute suppression of the mental strength. The unorthodox martial arts that Chen Guang had learned were targeted at strengthening the martial artist's own inner strength, further enlarging the gap in the level of mental strength. Chen Guang's world-class acting skills were originally able to use his body and facial expressions to influence others. Now that he was a martial sage realm martial artist and had learned mental strength skills, his mental strength was unusually strong. When he put himself in the role of another person and wanted to live in the other person's world, his mental strength had invisibly shrouded a very wide range and the influence was also very deep, so much so that even animals were more or less affected. The husky, for example, now thinks it's a teddy bear. It was another beautiful day to pack up early. After Jiang Yage changed her clothes, she excitedly went to find Chen Guang. In the end, she didn't see him. After asking around, she found out that Chen Guang had driven off by himself again. Jiang Yage pouted and found Jin Shiyue. I feel like he's avoiding us. Jin Shiyue sighed. She knew that Jiang Yage's feeling was right. It was the truth. She could even guess why. Although nothing had changed on the surface, the words he had said in the conference room with his grandfather had left some unpleasant memories in his heart. Now he should be deliberately keeping a little distance from her and Jiang Yage. He didn't want to be pulled into the circle of the center of power because of the two of them. However, Jin Shiyue wasn't particularly worried about this. Chen Guang was a person who would forget the pain when the scar healed. After a few days, he would forget the unpleasantness. He would also realize that in fact, she and Solomon didn't like the circle of his grandfather either. It's okay. He just stepped down. Maybe he's afraid that if he stays with us after work, he will suddenly be found by his grandfather. Jin Shiyue smiled and comforted Jiang Yage. Jiang Yage's troubles were more than Jin Shiyue's. She could only sigh in her heart. She was so unwilling and wanted to do something with him. My performance that day was really bad. How many seconds did I last? It was rare for Chen Guang to do something like this for a long period of time. Unknowingly, the 22 days of high-intensity shooting in Yanjing Shujian Film and Television City came to an end. That's right. Since the first day, Big Beard Deng sped up the shooting progress again. The original plan was to shoot an average of only 10 scenes a day, but later, he forcibly increased it to 13. He wanted to shoot more slowly, but no matter how he shot, he couldn't find any problems at all, so he simply accepted his fate. It was just hard for old Ma, who had to arrange the set every day by 1/3. But anyway, he was called Old Ma, and it wasn't the first time that he was ordered around by Big Beard Deng. He was tired and happy. Old Ma, who had worked with Big Beard for many years, could feel that the state of this film shooting was a little different from the past for Big Beard. Although he talked a lot less on the set than before, the light in his eyes was getting brighter and brighter. Especially after the shooting every day, when he was alone in front of the monitor to check the results of the day's shooting, he often giggled secretly, as happy as a 3-year-old child. Old Ma had a feeling that this was going to be a classic. He had made a lot of films with Big Beard, many of which were good works, but he knew that Big Beard had a regret in his heart, which was that he had never made a classic that was enough to leave a name in history. Originally, Big Beard didn't have much hope for women. In fact, he was instructed by someone to tailor the film specifically for Jiang Yage, which was why there was a farce during the casting. This was a work that was born out of helplessness and repeated compromises. During the whole planning process of the film, there was even a farce such as the transfer of investors' shares. Originally, it was just because Jiang Yage wanted Chen Guang to play a small role, but unknowingly, the role of the small role was increased and he became the second male lead. Suddenly, the second male lead was promoted and became the male lead. At this time, things were a little out of control. Then, the first male lead that no one was optimistic about became the big boss of the film. At that time, Big Beard was secretly anxious and helpless, and Old Ma saw it. He was anxious in his heart and felt wronged for him. Later, when the shooting started, he had to compromise again and again for the sake of the particularly difficult male lead. He even sent Yang Shi to teach him step by step several times. After the shooting started, Big Beard had to repeatedly mess up the original shooting order. He had to match the schedules of all the main producers, especially Chen Guang, who couldn't come to the set at all. He could only shoot in a messy order. Fortunately, he was Deng Xiaojiang. No matter how messy the shooting order was, his heart was still clear and his mind was filled with the complete framework of the film. In the end, he would definitely be able to cut a passable film. However, Old Ma clearly felt that as time went by, Big Beard's passion for the film was fading. He seemed to gradually accept his fate and felt that the film that was made this time, regardless of the box office, would certainly not become a good film worth remembering. Until after Chen Guang performed Thunderstorm in the 5 Capital, everything changed. Big Beard seemed to be injected with chicken blood. Then, Chen Guang finally came and taught everyone a very profound lesson on the spot. Then, Big Beard became a toy frog full of chicken blood and tightened up. He was so excited that he even pulled his old friend Shi Changhe to talk to him through the night. Shi Changhe even wanted to co-direct, but in the end, he was forcibly driven away by Big Beard. Unknowingly, the content of the film and television city was finally finished. Old Ma saw the hope of success. Although he was just a floor supervisor who could only leave his name on the staff list at the end of the film, it was still a memory worth being proud of. If Women could really become a classic, then many years later, he could proudly say to his grandson, "Did you see that? When this film was made, your grandfather also made great contributions in it. Those clothes were all my painstaking efforts." Old Ma turned his head and looked into the distance, where Chen Guang was chatting with Big Beard with a smile. Further away, there was a place where other actors were removing their makeup. Subconsciously, Old Ma felt that it seemed that everyone had unconsciously focused all their attention on Chen Guang. This guy was not a traditional star, but he seemed to have characteristics that surpassed that of a star. "Uncle, I didn't cheat you, did I? If I say yes, then yes." Chen Guang laughed. Big Beard blushed slightly. "Come on, don't laugh at me. I didn't think of it before. God knows what kind of monster you are. How could there be a person like you in this world? How many windows did God open for you? How capable are you?" Chen Guang pointed to the parking lot in the distance. "Sorry, panoramic skylight. Go to hell. Don't you feel ashamed? After this, will you still act in the future? I really want to tailor a script for you." Big Beard asked again. Chen Guang hesitated a little and said, "It depends on the situation. Let's see if we can win an Oscar this time. If not, we have to act in another one." Big Beard's eyes widened. What? An Oscar? He really didn't expect that Chen Guang's ambition was so great. He had actually set his eyes on the highest honor of the world's actors from the very beginning. Chen Guang asked, "Well, what's wrong with that?" Big Beard opened his mouth for a long time but didn't say a word. He couldn't help thinking about what he had seen in the past 20 days. It seemed that he really didn't think too much. If the Oscars could put aside their prejudice against Chinese films, his recent performance was totally worthy of an Oscar. You have to know that Chinese films in the Oscars, Big Beard really didn't want to say such discouraging words. Chen Guang waved his hand indifferently. "It doesn't matter. Didn't I say that if this one doesn't work, we can make another one later?" They are not blind or stupid. No matter how deep their prejudice is, it can't overcome the absolute gap in strength. Of course, Chen Guang's confidence was not groundless. He had a realm that was ahead of the whole era. "Are you going to have a 3-day holiday?" "Yes, although everyone is intoxicated, they are also a little tired." "Okay, see you at the airport in 3 days." Chen Guang said goodbye and was about to leave again. Big Beard looked at Jiang Yage, who was removing her makeup. "You're not going to wait for them?" Chen Guang shook his head. "No, I still have something to do at the company. My company has been shooting a variety show recently. When it's time to promote the movie, can we also take a look?" "That's good. Good wine fears no deep alley. We still have to do the promotion. But I have to say, you are a major shareholder of the film, so there is no promotion fee. You have to be frugal." "Of course, but there's no appearance fee." Chen Guang chuckled. "You can decide for yourself, but what about the others, especially Solomon and Shiriyue?" "No. Let's go." Chapter 970. Out of the film and television city, Chen Guang whistled and drove straight to the city. In fact, he understood Jiang Yage's feelings. He had been hiding from Jiang Yage recently, but things were not as complicated as Jean Shiriyue thought. He was tired of the old men, but he was a person who could distinguish between kindness and hatred. He could tell at a glance who was sincere to him and who was hiding a knife in their smile. He would not treat Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage the way he treated the old men. Every debt had a debtor. Besides, he was not a small figure that others could easily bully. Since he had successfully gotten out of the quagmire, it would not be easy to drag him back into it. There were 3 reasons why he was hiding from Jiang Yage. First, Jin Shirue had been on the set recently. It was obvious that Jiang Yage had hidden something from Jin Shirue. Chen Guang did not want to affect their sisterly relationship because of him. Life was already so melodramatic, so he did not want to make it more melodramatic. Second, there were many people on the set. In the eyes of outsiders, he and Jin Shirue seemed to be in a relationship. If he acted ambiguous with Jiang Yage on and off the set, it would be inappropriate. It would put Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage on the fire. Even with Jin Shirue acting as a cover, the intimacy between those who had and those who hadn't had sex with each other was ultimately different. It was hard to guarantee that someone with ulterior motives wouldn't notice anything amiss. It was better to maintain a slight distance on the surface. Third, and perhaps the most important reason, he did not want to waste time. With Jiang Yage's physique, it took her 3 whole days to get out of bed last time. Now, it might not be as bad as the first time, but she would not be able to move without a day and a night. Jiang Yage was the real protagonist of women. Her scenes were more important than Chen Guang's. Recently, they had been filming with high intensity. If anything happened to her, the entire crew would have to take a vacation. Chen Guang felt bad for wasting a day or 2 of the entire crew's time and dragging down his own progress just for 3 seconds of the pinnacle of his life. Even if he really wanted to do something and give someone an explanation, he would think about it after the filming was over. With both hands on the steering wheel, his mind was once again focused on the new variety show planned by Tianguang Media. Half a month later, after intense preparations, Hai was finally released. My God! The brand new variety show was pushed to the front stage, and now it was the final step of preparing for recording. In the end, it was named Hai. My God! It was because of the director team's influence. After all, they had just finished Hai Goddess. However, although the names of the 2 shows sounded similar, there was actually a big difference. Goddess Variety Show was a talent show for female artists promoted by Xiaozong. Some time ago, it was quite popular on the internet, and Xiaozong invested a lot of resources in promoting it. Unfortunately, because of the lack of contestants, his show only found some internet celebrities, and not a few reliable female stars with real talent. There was a lack of topic that could continue to ferment, and it made a lot of noise but little rain. In the end, it did not make any waves. However, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. After all, Hai Goddess used to be a first-line original online variety show. The new show was tentatively named Hai My God, so it could also take a ride and let the last generation of the show play some residual heat. As for this new version of Hai My God, Chen Guang still had no idea what it was, since he only knew of its name. As for the details, he would have to take a look himself. Fortunately, the production team was on vacation today. Otherwise, he would have no choice but to cross his legs. The show was recorded at the National Cultural Center in Yanjing, and Chu Zijin also led the team to temporarily move the office to Yanjing. However, this time, she did not ask the head office for help. She had not been idle for the past 20 days. While preparing for the show, she was also hiring employees. Now, Tianguang Media had more than 30 employees in all aspects, so they were not so short of people. Of course, the people at the headquarters of Tianguang Group had not been idle recently. Some of the things that Chen Guang had done in the past, such as his piano performance, had now been produced in the original sound albums and pure digital sound sources, which were being sold in major bookstores and online in the country. Recently, the video copyright derivatives related to the drama, Thunderstorm, were also in the midst of production. At present, many domestic copyright operators were very interested in this, and Fong Tianyu's doorstep was almost broken by the number of people who were stepping on it. It was much easier for Tianguang Group to operate copyright than other peers, because Qinguang had only one core requirement from beginning to end, and that was not to think about making money, but to maximize the positive dissemination as the goal. However, there were always some things to do, and it was impossible to be lazy. In the past, when Qinguang operated his own Weibo account, there were a lot of things, and the derivative development was enough to keep the hundreds of people at the headquarters busy for a while. Unknowingly, Qinguang had driven the car to the office rented by Tianguang Media in the National Cultural Center. He carried his bag and went upstairs. 5 minutes later, he sat down in Chu Zijin's temporary office and waited. At this time, Chu Zijin was still signing a contract with someone in another conference room. Without Qinguang to hold the fort, they had to find a few star artists who could support the traffic to support the scene. During this time, the candidates were being finalized one after another. Although Qinguang didn't have many connections in the entertainment circle in the past, and most people didn't like him, it was different now. Now he had become a big shot that many people couldn't afford to offend. He also used thunderstorm to announce to many people in the entertainment circle that he had entered like a scourge and fierce beast. No one could ignore his past success, and too many people had become his stepping stones. He came, he saw, and he conquered. He had never shouted such words, but that was exactly what he did. No one would say no to money. In the past, people in the entertainment circle just didn't like his high profile. Now that they knew he had the capital to be high profile, it was not strange to seek cooperation. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Qinguang drank all the tea and made another cup. He stared at the tea leaves in the cup for a long time in a daze. Chu Zijin finally arrived. Qinguang had completely forgotten one thing. In fact, he hadn't entered the world in cup for more than a month. He didn't dare to go in. The reason was simple. Last time, he used a grenade to blow up Lioli, blowing up the goddess into an African fried chicken. Last time, he even upgraded it to TNT the size of a fist. He really didn't need to go in to look. Just by imagining it, he knew that it must be beautiful and unsightly. Qinguang really didn't dare to go in and court death. Although he didn't know what was going on with Lioli, Qinguang even felt very surprised. Why didn't she drag him in and give him a beating? He was a little not used to it. It was said that a beast that was really in a frenzy would actually not roar. She didn't say anything now. Maybe she was waiting for me to go in and give me a good beating, waiting to trick me. Of course, it was also very likely that she didn't take the initiative to let him die because she knew that it was difficult to control her anger. She was afraid that she would accidentally send him to heaven. It was terrifying to think about. Madame Lioli was already so angry that she was afraid of herself. In short, time could wear away everything. I won't go in, even if you beat me to death. With this thought in mind, he really forgot about the world in the cup for more than a month. Even though it was already past the normal interval of time for the world in the one-line heavenly cup, the Holy Grail still did not move at all. He was completely unaware. Of course, he knew that he would have to answer to this sooner or later. However, he could drag it on for as long as he could. The better she recovered, the more her anger subsided, and the safer she would be after entering. It was just that he felt a little heartache leaving a lot of faith points untouched. Forget it, he didn't care about that. Anyway, the faith points were there, and they wouldn't grow legs and run away. Yo, boss, what a rare guest. Why did you think of coming today? I thought you would wait until after the program was broadcast before you would care about me. Chu Zijin was wearing a professional suit and looked much more mature than before. She teased Qinguang as soon as she entered the door. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. Qinguang saw that she was in a good state of mind and was relieved. The filming in the film city has come to an end. The crew took a vacation together. I have nothing to do, so I came to take a look. That's good. Take a look at this program proposal and help us check it out. Chu Zijin kept tapping on her keyboard. Hi. My God. The electronic version of the proposal appeared in front of Chen Guang with a whoosh. This was the advantage of being a top hacker as the CEO. There was absolutely no fear of the company's trade secrets being hacked through the computer. Half an hour later, Chen Guang fell into deep thought. Chu Zijin, who was beside him, was slightly nervous as she waited for his comments. Although Chen Guang said that he wouldn't interfere with her decisions, so far, he had almost done it. However, Chen Guang's identity was not just a boss. His other identity was the most hyped up, the most troublemaking, the most talented and invincible internet celebrity in recent years. He must have his own unique views on the operation of variety shows. If he really didn't think that the program would be good, he would probably have to overturn everything. Chu Zijin's own confidence would be reduced to ashes even without him saying anything. Seeing that Chen Guang's brows were knitted tighter and tighter, Chu Zijin's heart was also in her throat. Not good. His eyebrows were almost knotted. This was a pill. Finally, Chen Guang threw away the mouse and fell backward. He let out a long sigh. Sigh. Chu Zijin's heart thumped. It seemed that he felt that it was not good. She moved forward. How is it? Is it bad? Actually, her confidence had been dealt a blow. Although the entire program was the work of the director's team, after the first draft was produced, it had been revised many times with her participation. Compared to the original state, it was already a complete turnaround. It had been stamped with Chu Zijin's imprint. Although she said that she was not proficient in it, ever since she became the CEO, she had studied at least hundreds of variety shows. She thought that she was quite knowledgeable. If it was someone else who dared to question her, she would definitely roll her eyes at them even if she didn't slap them. But now, she was facing Chen Guang. Chu Zijin could not care less about his identity as the boss, but she could not ignore his past success. I don't understand. Chen Guang finally spoke. Chu Zijin, huh? I know every word and I understand the meaning of every line, but I don't know how to judge whether it is good or bad. So, if you want me to judge whether this program is good or not, I can't make up my mind. Then why did you frown just now? Isn't it because I don't understand? Chu Zijin felt like she was on the verge of breaking down. What happened to his unique opinion? Are you trying to scare me out of my kidneys? Chapter 971. Chu Zijin put her hands on her hips and asked angrily, then how did you succeed in the past? Chen Guang shrugged. Never thought about it. That's simply illogical. What's so strange about it? Although I watch TV occasionally, it's just for fun. If you ask me to comment from the perspective of an audience, I can speak logically, but I don't even care about the production behind the scenes of these programs. What's the hot topic, what's the rhythm, what's the narrative technique, what's the CP suspense, and so on. I don't even think about it. I'm just a standard bystander. Chu Zijin felt that she shouldn't have counted on him. On the other hand, Chen Guang had already brought out the golden rule of internet trolls. Of course, if the program isn't good, I'll definitely still criticize it. After all, it's not necessary to know how to cool a refrigerator. Don't you think so? But now that there's such a written proposal in front of me, I can't say anything about it. In the end, Chen Guang didn't help Chu Zijin at all during this trip, but he really couldn't be blamed. He was a genius, but he couldn't be a master in a field that he had never learned before. That was too much. It was just like how even the fiercest hound couldn't grow wings to compete with a sparrow. Chen Guang, who was more of a hindrance than a help, was finally chased out of the temporary office by Chu Zijin. Now, countless eyes were staring at Tianguang Media. From the capital market to the ordinary people, and then to every employee in the company, almost all of their confidence was built on him. If others found out that his arrogance and confidence at the airport was all an act, Chu Zijin felt that it would be the end of the world. Being chased out by his own CEO, Chen Guang didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He didn't want to care about it anyway. In fact, he was very interested in Hai. My God. This program was quite promising. According to the content of the proposal, this was a program that focused on creating extraordinary people or discovering the special talents of certain public celebrities. It had a certain competitive nature, and of course, it was more of an entertainment reality show. For example, some well-known musicians, like Jay Chou's Absolute Sound, or Jin Shuryue and Jiang Yage, who were born with a strong ability to control their facial microexpressions, were very topical and competitive. The format of the show was similar to famous shows like The Strongest Melon Seed and Challenge the Impossible. In short, if it was filmed well, it would be worth looking forward to. At that time, he could make people's eyes light up and say, "Oh my, not bad, oh my god," and so on. "Oh my god," this phrase would become the show's slogan, echoing the show's name. However, Chen Guang was a little worried. Nowadays, all the talented people were in high demand. He was afraid that he couldn't find so many people who could make people's eyes light up. He could only use the program effect to create a hot topic, which was easy to make people feel embarrassed. Then what awaited this program would be a bad ending or a flop. However, now was not the time to dampen Chu Zijin's enthusiasm. After all, he didn't have a better idea. It was better to feel the stones and cross the river, taking one step at a time. After stealing half a day of leisure, Chen Guang had a rare free time for the next 3 days. He enjoyed the Dota Tower in Bamboo's live broadcast room for 3 days. However, this time, he didn't play 5 people in the dormitory. Instead, he was caught red-handed by Wenwen. Wenwen, who returned to school, finally gradually integrated into the school life and returned to her previous daily life. Classes, eating, playing Dota Tower, meditating before going to bed, sleeping, and throwing away the love letters that others secretly stuffed into her. This meant that the all-powerful female and male duo had reappeared in Jianghu. Although Wenwen liked to train with weights, she was now quite used to the feeling of being carried by Chen Guang. For 3 consecutive days, Chen Guang not only set off another frenzy on the Bamboo platform, but also wreaked havoc in the national server Heavenly Ladder. According to reliable information, in these 3 days, the group ranking of the top players in the national server Heavenly Ladder lost more than 100 points on average. All of it was sucked away by the female and male duo. They were like a sponge-sucking machine. Hurry back to school after you're done. I'm so bored now. I want to find someone to beat up. When Chen Guang went offline for the last time, Wenwen sent him a private message. At 7:00 in the morning, Chen Guang arrived at the airport on time. Big Beard and the other main cast members arrived one after another. However, this time, Jin Shuryue didn't come. She didn't have any scenes in the first 2 weeks of filming. She could take advantage of this time to run around and promote her and Jiang Yage's new album. Jin Shuryue played the role of the male lead's first love who died of illness in the movie. She didn't have many scenes left. This group of people almost booked the entire plane, turning the direct flight from Beijing to Kainan province into a chartered plane for the production team. This time, Jiang Yage got her wish of sitting next to Chen Guang in the first-class cabin. She started giggling as soon as she sat down. However, her happiness didn't last long. Not long after the plane took off, Jiang Yage saw Chen Guang's super popularity in the domestic civil aviation system. She was so jealous that she, a veteran celebrity who was used to being the focus of countless people, was used to being the focus of attention. When the stewardesses on the flight completed their tasks, they immediately made their way to Chen Guang's seat. From time to time, these people ran to Chen Guang's seat, chatted for a while, and then changed their ways to ask for autographs. The bolder ones directly wanted to exchange contact information with Chen Guang. Otherwise, they would look for Chen Guang to take all kinds of photos with him and take advantage of the photo opportunity to rub themselves against Chen Guang's body. Jiang Yage's heart was burning with anger, and the flashes from the cameras made her dizzy. You coquettish bee asterisk cheese, are you done yet? However, she couldn't fly into a rage. Instead, she had to squeeze a smile on her face. After all, she was also a public figure. Although she was often ignored, people would recognize her from time to time. Ah. Jiang Yage. I'm so happy. My brother is your fan. Can I have your autograph? Jiang Yage was so angry, but she still kept smiling. In fact, when she took a plane before, she would not be so seriously harassed. After all, experienced flight attendants knew that stars were very busy. They were either working or catching up on sleep on the plane. For example, Ren Chong, Zhao Yueling, and the others next to her were sleeping soundly. In the past 3 days, they not only did not take a break, but also rushed to numerous jobs that had been postponed before. They flew to 7 or 8 cities, which was very tiring. But today, Chen Guang was so easy to talk to. Coupled with his unreasonably high popularity in the civil aviation industry, these flight attendants were a little unscrupulous. Many of them had clearly asked for his autograph and photo, but they were still reluctant to leave. They insisted on pestering him. Even if they only heard a few words from him, they would cover their mouths happily. Even this guy didn't need to speak, and others would look at him with stars in their eyes. Finally, after more than half of the flight had passed, these flight attendants were coaxed away one after another. Jiang Yage was angry and secretly twisted Chen Guang's waist. Hiss. Old Master did not need to turn his head to know that her lips must be so pouting that an oil bottle could be hung on it. In fact, it was not painful, but she pretended to make her happy. Ever since I could remember, I've never experienced what it's like to be in the background. In the past, I didn't understand the troubles of the staff around me. Now, I really feel that I should apologize to them. They've really suffered. Chen Guang blushed at her words. No, it's nothing. You are such a beautiful background. I can't find another one even if I have a lantern. Jiang Yage sighed. Come on, don't comfort me. I am already past my prime. I am old and I am tired of people. At the same time, Chen Guang was also amused by Su Tao's self-pitying look. He's truly worthy of being an experienced actor. Can you be more normal? Isn't it? Then why have you been avoiding me recently? Are you going to eat it all and not admit to it? Jiang Yage's self-pitying look turned into a tearful one in the next second. Her acting skills were superb. Thinking of what happened with Jiang Yage that night, Chen Guang felt quite helpless. How could he tell Jiang Yage that he was not normal at that time? He was still the Jinwu Holy Emperor who ruled over billions of lives in the Jinwu continent. He was fearless and fearless. Now he had returned to his normal self. This situation was a little difficult to face. Only he knew that this was the truth. However, he could not say this. Jiang Yage would not believe him even if he said it. Instead, she would really think that he was a person who did not admit it. She would think that he was lying and would be sad. I can't be like this. Seeing Chen Guang's pained expression, Jiang Yage suddenly clapped her hands. I understand. Her voice was a little loud. She accidentally woke up Big Beard who was resting next to her. What's wrong? What's wrong? Jiang Yage blushed and waved her hand. It's nothing, nothing. When the others calmed down, Chen Guang asked anxiously. What do you know? He was starting to panic. Jiang Yage looked around cautiously. She blushed and glared at him. Do you think I'm too weak and can't feel any pleasure? Chen Guang stared at her. Huh? Jiang Yage said proudly, I got it right, didn't I? Forget it. I won't blame you. Anyway, you men are like this. You like to feel fresh. I don't blame you even if you have scandals with your teacher, your classmates, and your vice president. But you can't lose the watermelon just because you have a sesame seed. Chen Guang was speechless. How could you be so thick-skinned when you cut in line? I'll lose your watermelon. Forget it. No matter what the reason is, I've eaten her up. That means I owe her. But aren't you being too lenient with me? Chen Guang was shocked by her. What kind of feeling was this? Are you stupid? I can't even forgive myself. But you don't mind at all? You're afraid of delaying the filming, right? Then let's try it out after filming is over. Don't worry. I've been training hard recently. I don't believe that I can't handle a cow like you. I swear I'll fight to the end next time. Shoo. Shoo. Lower your voice. If someone hears you, it's over. Okay. Don't you want to know how I've been training recently? No. I've secretly bought a lot of things. They're electric and very powerful. But they're not as powerful as you. I feel that I can train the muscles in that area. Pfft. Qin Guang, who was drinking water, spat out the tea in his mouth when Jiang Yage whispered such shameless words into his ear. You can train the muscles in that area too? 3 laps to the left and 3 laps to the right? Don't you like to watch big scenes? I'll film it for you next time. Cough, cough, cough. Jiang Yage seemed to be taking revenge on Qin Guang for being harassed by the air stewardesses and neglecting her. She used her words to torment the poor Master Guang for the rest of the flight. The tent in his pants was about to explode, but there were too many people in the cabin. He knew everyone around him, and Jiang Yage was just as eye-catching. He couldn't really let her pretend to sleep on his lap like Tang Ying did in the past. Even though the suffering Master Guang's eyes were burning with anger, there was nothing he could do. He had never regretted it so much. Actually, he always knew that Jiang Yage wasn't easy to deal with and he shouldn't have provoked her. Previously, he had been doing a good job of guarding against her. At most, he would tease her a little on the phone until he transformed into the Jinwu Holy Emperor to show off. Now that Pandora's box had been opened, he could not hold on any longer. This was a sin. Chapter 972. Finally, when they got off the plane, the quick-witted Qin Guang came up with a reliable idea. He took off his coat, tied his sleeves around his waist, and put them in front of his body. He pretended to be very hot, but he didn't want to waste another hand holding his clothes. His quick-wittedness saved his life. The news that the crew of women had arrived in Kainan province had already been reported, and many reporters and media were already waiting for them. Otherwise, it would be very embarrassing if he went out of the airport with a big tent. In order to promote the movie in advance, there would be a media meeting for the main cast of women after the crew landed. Qin Guang carefully mixed in the crowd and moved outside. He was afraid that if he accidentally moved too much, he would expose some indecent scenes. Even so, he couldn't help but become the focus of the crowd. Nowadays, among the traditional celebrities in this crew, the most famous ones were Jiang Yage and Ren Chong, and the second best was Zhao Yueling. Of course, Big Beard was also famous as a director, but he was not as famous as the actors among the ordinary people. However, most of the reporters and people at the airport were thinking about Qin Guang. He was an atypical star, but recently, he had become so popular that it made people's hair stand on end. This time, it wasn't only Jiang Yage who felt that she was past her prime. Ren Chong, Zhao Yueling, and Big Beard were also in a trance and had hallucinations. Maybe I'm a fake celebrity. This situation wasn't only limited to the airport. Even when they arrived at the hotel next door and entered the part of the media meeting, it still didn't improve. Poor Big Beard, he had prepared a basket of answers in his head, waiting for people to ask him. In the end, no one paid attention to him at all, and he was completely ignored. Almost all the reporters chased Qin Guang with questions. Some wanted to know if Qin Guang, who used to be the world's best at everything, had set any goals for acting in the movie this time. Some also asked Qin Guang what he thought of the recent big moves of Tianguang media, and some asked if Qin Guang would also participate in Hi! My God! This new variety show. There were also some bold people who took advantage of the fact that both Qin Guang and Jiang Yage were present today to ask very sharp questions. They wanted to know what was the relationship between him and Jin Shiyue, as well as whether Jiang Yage had any other meaning when they kissed at the concert. Most of the questions had nothing to do with the movie, but Big Beard Deng was furious. Deng Xiaojiang coughed violently and knocked on the table with his hand. All right, all right. This is the press conference for women. Please don't ask anything unrelated to the movie. If any of you from the media have other questions about our main cast, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Although almost everyone in the crew, including Big Beard Deng, followed Chen Guang, Big Beard's authority still had to be maintained outside. Chen Guang also said in a timely manner, Director Deng is right. From now on, I will no longer answer any questions that have nothing to do with the movie. Jiang Yage also followed suit. The reporters in the audience were very unwilling to give up. Staying in a place like Kainan Province, there were not many opportunities to get in touch with popular artists. Now that they finally got to see the famous talker Chen Guang, they could not even dig out any big news. They would be laughed at by their peers if they told others about it. However, human wisdom was infinite. Immediately, a quick-witted reporter jumped out. Ms. Jiang Yage, I heard that you will give your first on-screen kiss in Women this time. In addition, I heard that you will also perform the biggest scene so far. May I ask if you have completed this scene? If you have, will this first on-screen kiss feel different from the kiss you had with Chen Guang in the past? As soon as the first person asked this question, the others were also inspired and opened fire. Mr. Chen, did you make any NGs when you and Jiang Yage were filming the kiss scene? How many NGs did you make in total? May I ask if it was her kiss? Director Deng, may I ask if Jin Shiyue is playing the male lead's first love? Do they also have kissing scenes? Were there any sex scenes? Have they been filmed yet? In the past, there were never any intimate scenes in the TV movies. Not to mention kissing scenes, they didn't even hold hands. I heard that it is an unwritten rule in the entertainment industry not to invite the two of them to kiss. May I ask if this is true? Then why are the two of them willing to break the rules this time? Director Deng, do you feel pressured because of the scale of the scene this time? Rumor has it that Mr. Chen and Jin Shiyue are still lovers. However, will you feel awkward if you and Jiang Yage kiss in the movie? After all, you are not a professional actor. You can't ask about the scandal, but you can get some other points. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage gave their first on-screen kiss at the same time, and the target was the same person. This was definitely a super hard news, okay? Big Beard Deng was about to break down because of these quick-witted reporters. How could he have a pleasant interview? But he could only bear with it. Although building a relationship with the media was a battle of wits and courage, he couldn't go too far. After all, he still needed them to help him promote the movie. It was all his fault that he didn't speak carefully enough. Although these people's questions were sharp, they were all within the scope of the movie. Jiang Yage looked at Chen Guang nervously. In fact, there were no kissing scenes and sex scenes. She forced them into the script. She was afraid that Chen Guang would be angry because of it. Chen Guang felt her gaze, but he turned back and smiled at her. Jiang Yage felt relieved. In fact, she felt it was quite funny. These people only knew about kissing scenes all day long. They were so bold that they even asked about French kissing. That's nothing. I'm already his, okay? On the other side, Big Beard Deng was already having a headache from all the questions. You guys are asking so many questions at once. How can we answer all of them? Jiang Yage smiled and knocked on the microphone. Let me say it. I'm sorry, although there are kissing scenes and intimate scenes in the script, we haven't had time to shoot them yet. It's easy to adjust our schedule, but we have to make do with the other actors' schedules. For this kind of scene with only 2 leading actors, it will be shot last. When they heard that they hadn't filmed them yet, many of the reporters couldn't hide their disappointment. They had lost a lot of super sharp questions in an instant. They had died before they could succeed. As for the sex scenes, there are no. Even if I dare to shoot them, the cinema won't dare to show them. Jiang Yage appropriately made a small joke, but no one thought she was joking. Instead, many people broke into a cold sweat. For the sake of breaking news, she was too rash for a while. If she offended the forces behind her, she might not only be imprisoned for the rest of her life, but she might not have a chance to continue to be a reporter. But there will be kissing scenes and relatively intimate scenes. When the time comes, everyone can go to the cinema to watch them. I won't go into the details. Although I also invested in this film, I don't intend to rely on these gimmicks to attract box office. It's all because of the needs of the plot, so of course, director Deng won't feel any pressure. The script is the crystallization of everyone's wisdom. We just want to create a better film. Don't look at how unreliable Jiang Yage was in front of Chen Guang. She lied with her eyes open and told some official articles to deceive people. She was the essence of the old masters. She was not as stupid as she looked on the surface. Everyone might feel strange. Why didn't we accept kissing scenes before, but now we agree? Actually, the reason is very simple. In the past, Sister Shiriyue and I were not adults yet. The elders in our family were more conservative and didn't agree. But after we became adults, we didn't pay so much attention to it. Later, we didn't meet a suitable script, so we waited until now. That's all. There's no point in kissing for the sake of kissing scenes. It's all to better present the work. So, what unwritten rules? Those are all nonsense. There's just no need for a script. I didn't expect that my first kiss on screen would be with the same person as Sister Shiriyue. But we are both professional actors. Although it's Chen Guang's first time starring in a movie, his standards have been proven before. He is the most talented actor I've seen so far. As for the awkwardness, how is that possible? There are so many actors in the world who have acted in kissing scenes. Don't doubt our professionalism. A reporter jumped out to nitpick. But Chen Guang and Jean Shiriyue are clearly. Chen Guang coughed heavily. I've said it before. We're only talking about the movie today. The reporter could only sit down awkwardly. Jiang Yage continued to speak frankly with assurance. So what? Are there fewer celebrities who act in kissing scenes after they get married? Jiang Yage wasn't too happy. She put on a straight face and stared at the reporter who was nitpicking. So when people were shameless, they were invincible. Moreover, she was an actress. It wasn't a need for the plot at all. She was the one who forced herself into the scene, but she could still say that she was sacrificing herself for the art. With Jiang Yage's perfect performance, the press conference was over without any surprise. Although she was reluctant to admit it, there was no doubt that the news of her left and right hand kissing on screen for the first time had successfully become a hot topic of public opinion. Although there had been rumors before, they weren't confirmed. Now, Jiang Yage had given everyone a reassurance. There was a kissing scene. Although it was impossible to expect her and Jean Shiriyue to wear sexy clothes and do something high, it was already a qualitative change from nothing to something. With the first time, there would be a second time in the future. This kind of scale was opened up bit by bit. At least this was a sign that she was more open, much better than before. The publicity effect that Big Beard Deng wanted was basically achieved. It was just that this topic made his scalp feel a little cold. But since Jiang Yage had caused it herself, he wasn't the main culprit and could still bear it. He didn't want to be the first big director to act in a kissing scene. It wasn't an honor at all. Chapter 973. They did not stay in the hotel where the meet and greet was held. Instead, they took a bus and drove for 4.5 hours to the scenic hotel in Baishui County, where the exterior scene was held. It was already dusk when they arrived, and the sky was dark. As soon as they settled down, Jiang Yage ran to Chen Guang to ask for credit before they could have dinner. How was it? I did well today, didn't I? Why are you knocking on my door? If someone takes a photo, won't it make the headlines? This is Kainan province, not Beijing. You're not a local tyrant like in Beijing. Who knows, someone might take a photo and post it on the internet. It'll definitely cause an uproar. You'd better behave yourself. Chen Guang quickly turned sideways to block Jiang Yage from entering the room. Jiang Yage enters Chen Guang's hotel room at night. The two spend XX hours alone. Just thinking about this title was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Jiang Yage understood what he meant, but she was a little unwilling. If someone takes a photo, we can say that we were rehearsing our lines. We have to go to the outdoor scene tomorrow. There will be more people there. It's a rare opportunity. Okay. You can stop using your supernatural powers. It's not the right time. Then I'll play a video of you tonight. Actually, I secretly brought something with me. Do you want to see me exercise? Seeing that her attack had failed, Jiang Yage decisively took a detour and winked at him. Chen Guang fell for it immediately. Reason told him to shake his head, but his head shook violently as if it had been electrocuted. Great, awesome. You're a perverted guy, but you don't have the guts. Jiang Yage was satisfied this time. She turned around and wanted to go back to her room, but she saw Big Beard Deng, Yang Shi, Old Ma, the floor manager, Ren Chong, Zhao Yueling, and Zhouya walking over from the other end of the hotel aisle. The main creative team was almost all here, but no one knew what they were going to do. Big Beard and the others looked up and saw Jiang Yage blocking Chen Guang's door. They were shocked and wanted to turn their heads and pretend that they didn't see anything. No one was blind. Almost everyone in the production crew could see that not only was Chen Guang and Jin Shiyue in a mess, but he also had an unspeakable relationship with Jiang Yage. Jiang Yage's words to fool the reporters didn't matter to the others. It wasn't the first day that the people in the industry knew her. What she said about needing a script was nonsense. She was purposely putting on a kiss scene with Chen Guang. This was a terrifying triangle relationship. He had accidentally seen something he shouldn't have seen. But if he turned around and left now, wouldn't it be too obvious? Fortunately, Jiang Yage reacted quickly. Instead of avoiding him, she turned around with a smile and said, "Uncle Deng, all of you are here. Where are you going? It's going to be dark soon. Don't tell me he's going to the set to scout the location so early. The road conditions aren't very good." Chen Guang also followed them calmly, as if he didn't have any ulterior motives. That's right. The traffic in Kainan province isn't as good as Beijing. The place we're going seems to be very deep in the scenic area. Don't be so dedicated. Let's go tomorrow. Deng Xiaojiang secretly gave Chen Guang and Jiang Yage a thumbs up. If I didn't know that both of you are super professional actors, would have thought that the two of you were no longer together. Big Beard rubbed his beard and said in a slightly distressed manner, "I wanted to ask the hotel to send dinner to our respective rooms so that we could have a good rest after eating. But I suddenly received a call just now. It said that the local leaders and some business celebrities in Baishui County heard that we were coming. They set up a table early and waited for us. We have to go and entertain them." Chen Guang frowned slightly. "Can't we eat another day? We've been on the road all day from Beijing. Who would miss this meal? It's not like we haven't eaten delicacies before." Big Beard shook his head helplessly. "After we settle this matter in one go, we have to go all out for filming. It's okay if we work a little hard today. I like to shoot in one go. Going to have a meal with them will save us a lot of trouble." Deng Xiaojiang's words were actually not strange in the circle. Shooting a scene outside was not like shooting in the film and television city, especially for a big production like Women. Even if it was just a small scene, it might involve a lot of manpower and material resources. If they were to go out of town, they had to build a good relationship with the local gangsters to prevent any trouble. For example, if they wanted to film a scene on a road, they had to close a section of the road, which required the coordination of the local government. Another example was when they needed hundreds or thousands of small actors, it was best to find the local people to help coordinate. If they relied on the crew to settle it, Old Ma would be exhausted to death. What if there were a few troublemakers hiding in the middle? Or, if they did not give face to others and offended them, they could find a bunch of hooligans to ride motorcycles and drive around in the scene while singing. It would also be very disgusting. Or, when you were finishing work at night, they could secretly find some people to dismantle a few sets and steal some things from the set. It would not cost much, but it was very disgusting and would take up time. So even if Big Beard Dang and the others were tired from traveling the whole day and wanted to lie in bed and pretend to be dead, they had to go to this social gathering. If they could refuse a banquet, it would not be called a social gathering. In fact, those local leaders and so-called business celebrities had never seen a star before. When they heard that a big star had come, they set up such a table and said that they wanted to get to know each other and exchange business cards. But who would really contact them in the future? They just turned around and threw them into the corner. What other people want is nothing more than to see something strange and fresh. They feel that eating at the same table with celebrities will make them look good. When they come back, they can brag to other small bosses, businessmen, or politicians from other places. I drank with so-and-so director, and I ate with so-and-so celebrity. That Ren Chang's Huangmei opera is really nice. He doesn't just know how to act. That was about it. To put it bluntly, other people regarded a star as a monkey and wanted to see a monkey show. Everyone knew the truth, but it could not be said. Chen Guang was very unhappy. He was the major shareholder of Women. To put it bluntly, everyone, including Deng Xiaojiang, worked for him. Now others wanted to make his staff more tired and disturb his team's filming, which was to hurt his way of making money. Seeing that Chen Guang's eyebrows were getting tighter and tighter, Deng Xiaojiang misunderstood and thought that he did not want to go, so he quickly said, "Chen Guang, don't worry about it. You and Solomon have a good rest. We'll go." Yang Shi also tried to smooth things over. "It's okay. I'm used to it. It's not bad to know more celebrities. If I want to work alone, the real estate bosses in Baishui County can invest in me. Chen Guang, don't think that you are short of money now, but you can't underestimate the real estate bosses in small places like this. There are quite a few of them who have billions of yuan." Big Beard stared at Yang Shi. "So you've been looking forward to working alone?" They teased each other and the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Big Beard looked at his watch again. "Well, it's getting late. We'll go first." Chen Guang asked, "Didn't they invite me and Solomon?" Ren Chong said with a smile, "They did, but Solomon's identity is different. Who can let her go to social activities? As for you, Chen Guang, you are not an ordinary person. I don't dare to trouble you. Let's go." Big Beard was the first to leave. Chen Guang still wanted to ask more questions. He didn't want everyone to go, but he was stopped by Jiang Yage. "All right, don't ask any more. This kind of thing is very common. When we were filming Kingdom last time, Beardy also went to socialize a lot. Do you really think that filming a scene is like holding the camera, and it's over with a click? It's a lot of trouble." After saying that, she stretched again and muttered, "Oh, I'm so tired. I can't take it anymore. I have to go back and exercise." She put a lot of emphasis on the word exercise. Chen Guang raised his eyebrows and began to feel itchy in his heart. But before Jiang Yage could enter the room, there was a sudden noise from the other end of the corridor. Big Beard Dang's voice came from afar. "Mr. Bao, today is really not the right time. Xiao Jiang is a little unwell. It's really not convenient for her today." "No. No way. Director Dang, are you trying to fool us? Weren't you all fine at the press conference?" I clearly saw that Jiang Yage was in good spirits when she spoke. "Why, in our Baishui County, she's not comfortable even before her but touches the bed? Is it because the water in our Baishui County is not good, or is it because the mountains here are an eyesore, or is it because the people here are not well received?" The voice sounded like that of a young man. His voice seemed to have smoked too much, and it was a little hoarse and sharp, like the sound of a knife being sharpened on a stone. "Mr. Bao, what are you talking about? You know that celebrities have to hold on no matter how tired they are. It's really not convenient today. How about another day? I'll specially invite you to a banquet as an apology." "No. No way. Don't try to play dumb with me. What kind of logic is that? I'm here today to see Jiang Yage. I didn't even attend my friend's wedding. So what if she's a celebrity? Haven't I seen it before? Who didn't give me face when they came here in the past? Is Jiang Yage that big of a shot? Can't she even give me face for a meal? What's there to be arrogant about? To tell you the truth, she has to come today even if she doesn't want to. In this Baishui County, no one dares to not give me face. Mr. Bao. Don't make things difficult for me. If something happens, even your dad might not be able to handle it. Big Beardy even blocked the people at the crossing, and there was a hint of anger in his voice. Yo, Director Deng, you're still blowing your beard and glaring at me? Do you think I haven't seen the world? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by bringing up my dad? Are you calling me a spoiled brat? Let me tell you, in Baishui County, even if you're a dragon, you have to coil up. If you're a tiger, you have to lie down. Even if you're a god, you have to accept it. Don't drag my dad into this. He's sitting at the table right now. If you don't give me face, you're also not giving my dad face. Get out of the way. On the other side, Big Beard Deng's fat body suddenly retreated. He staggered, obviously having been pushed by someone. Big Beard turned his head and looked at Chen Guang and Jiang Yage. He saw that the two of them were still standing at the door. They were desperately trying to signal them to enter the room. But it was too late. A skinny, dark-skinned young man wearing a custom-made miniaturized Armani suit turned around and stood out with a gloomy face. He saw Chen Guang and Jiang Yage at the door. Chapter 974. Hey, Jiang Yage, aren't you standing here? Director Deng said that it's inconvenient for you, but you obviously look very convenient. Tong and Sung's originally gloomy face brightened up the moment he saw Jiang Yage, and he grinned happily. His gaze completely ignored Chen Guang, who was next to him, and was fully focused on Jiang Yage. Although he tried to hide it, he couldn't hide the fleeting lust in the depths of his eyes. Chen Guang and Jiang Yage both looked at him expressionlessly, as if they were looking at a corpse. Big Beard was so frightened by this scene that his legs trembled, and his mind went blank. It's over, it's really over this time. I'm only here to film a movie, I didn't want to create big news. He looked at Tong and Sung's back view again, and wished he could pounce on him from behind and strangle him to death. Idiot. Do you know how much trouble you're causing for Baishui County? It's not like there weren't other rich second generations as daring as you in the past, but now most of their families are in jail, and a few of them have already eaten peanuts. What you see isn't a femme fatale, it's a scourge, do you understand? Big Beard really had to give in to this rich second generation who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The fact that Jiang Yage had a background was something that she had never publicly acknowledged, both within and outside the industry. But after all, some people had already paid a heavy and unbearable price, and this was basically a secret that everyone within and outside the industry knew about. No one was stupid enough to ask them about it, and Jiang Yage and Jin Shirue wouldn't brag about it either. Usually, they were much less arrogant than ordinary celebrities of the same level. It wasn't that they hadn't encountered such a situation in the past, but if Big Beard explained it to them properly, the other party would be tactful. Until today, they met a really reckless young man who didn't know what was good for him. After failing to invite someone, he actually brought his underlings to the room to take the person away. Alright, he had encountered it before, but in the end, he had successfully stopped it and didn't run into the muzzle of the gun. When faced with this kind of thing, even the most lecherous person would instantly cool down and go back to what they were supposed to do. Big Beard didn't need to ask to know the identity of these mysterious people. They must be the guards sent by Jin Shirue and Jiang Yage's families. Although they were not wearing military uniforms, they exuded a strong military aura. They were decisive in killing. They were all ruthless men who had a life in their hands. Based on past experiences, when Wankensong led the team through the checkpoint, there should be a mysterious person accompanying him. However, for some reason, the savior that Big Beard had been looking forward to did not appear today. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and bear it. Song was obviously more eccentric than most of the deceptive second generations that Big Beard had seen in the past. He was also more reckless and lacked consideration. Perhaps it was because Baishui County was located in a remote area of Kainan Province, where transportation was inconvenient and information was relatively blocked. It was easier for a local tyrant to cover the sky with one hand. The smaller and more remote a place was, the more entangled the local tyrants would be, and the more stable the power structure would be. The people living at the top of the pyramid would be more lawless and fearless. The father and son of the Wonk family were a typical example. In the past, celebrities who occasionally came here to participate in commercial performances might have been defiled. Now, Song had overcome all obstacles and finally stood in front of Chen Guang and Jiang Yage. Big Beard was still looking left and right. He had a feeling that one of the waiters in the hotel might be the mysterious guard. However, he did not see them. The waiters had already seen that the situation was not good and had hidden somewhere. It was obvious that this was not the first time Song had done something like this in the hotel. The waiters were used to it and were very familiar with hiding. Big Beard did not know that this time, when Jiang Yage went out, the old masters did not assign any guards at all. The world's #1 martial artist, the former director of the General Directorate of Stabilization who could crush Ouyang Tianxing in the entire Shadow Alliance with a slap, was here. She was simply a walking nuclear weapon in human form. Why would she need guards? If Jiang Yage, who was by Chen Guang's side, could still be in danger, it would be the biggest joke in the world. Of course, Big Beard at least knew that Chen Guang was very good at fighting. The people that Song brought with him were probably not enough to deal with Chen Guang. Moreover, he also knew that Chen Guang did not have to take responsibility for beating up Song. Perhaps he could even beat him to death. In short, there was no way to clean up this mess. This guy was going to be unlucky. Perhaps everyone in Baishui County who was related to the Bao father and son would be unlucky. Forget it, the leaders and celebrities of Baishui County were not worthy of sympathy. Those with dirty butts could just wait to move. Big Beard did not really sympathize with these people. He was just worried that if this matter was blown up, it might affect the progress of the filming. This hurt him very much. Sigh, if he had known this would happen, he would have removed Baishui County from the exterior location. It was a pity that he could not bear to part with that beautiful waterfall. Who would have thought that the son of a rich tycoon would be so daring and ill-informed? Did he really think that he could be the local tycoon here and cover the sky with one hand? In the past, it might not have been a problem for other celebrities to accompany him to drink and laugh, but not every celebrity was Jiang Yage. Song did not know that danger was approaching. The smile on his face became more and more radiant as he walked towards Chen Guang and Jiang Yage. Chen Guang looked at the rich tycoon expressionlessly. He lifted his foot slightly and intended to take a step forward, but Jiang Yage, who had been grabbing onto the hem of his shirt, forcefully pulled him back. Chen Guang turned to look at Jiang Yage, but she shook her head slightly and mouthed to Chen Guang, "It's okay, I'll handle it." Chen Guang shrugged his shoulders and did not comment. Actually, he was very unhappy. This group of people who came from barren hills and unruly rivers had forced Big Beard and the rest to go to socialize and disturb the rest of the film crew. But they had actually set their sights on Jiang Yage. Had they not seen enough of the monkey show? Did they really think that they were monkeys? They even caused him to be affected when he watched Jiang Yage's live stream training. It was unforgivable. "Hello Jiang Yage, I'm Song from Baishui Tongyuan Real Estate. Nice to meet you." As he walked towards Jiang Yage, Song regained his manners and said with a smile, "I'm really sorry to disturb you, but I'm really a loyal fan of yours. I've liked you guys for many years. I've bought every single one of your albums, and I even know how to sing many of your songs." As he spoke, he began to hum the songs that made Jiang Yage and Jin Shirua famous. To be honest, this guy's character was not very good, and his looks were even worse. But the tone he hummed was quite good, and it was all about the intonation. Is that so? Thank you for your support, but we're really a little tired now. It's been a long day on the road from Beijing. How about another day? Jiang Yage narrowed her eyes. Only Chen Guang could see that she was smiling faintly. Maybe you're really my fan, but I have too many fans. Celebrities are also people, and they have to rest and have their own private lives. I can't have to eat with you just because you're my fan, right? Then I won't do anything else for the rest of my life, and I'll just have to eat with people all day long. Besides, even if I eat 24 meals a day, I can't take care of every fan. Wang Song's expression immediately changed, and he narrowed his eyes. Miss Jiang, as far as I know, you've only been here for a few minutes, and you haven't had dinner yet. Now my father and many uncles are waiting for you downstairs with a banquet. Everyone is here because of your reputation. If you're not here, the elders won't want to eat. It's not very polite to let so many elders go hungry, isn't it? Besides, isn't eating in your room the same as eating at the banquet downstairs? It's just a few steps, and you're not even out of this building. How much time can it take you? Wang Song couldn't help but be unhappy. He thought that he had already shown the greatest grace in his life, but he was still defeated. With that said, he reached out to pull Jiang Yage. With a slap, Chen Guang, who had been standing at the back, suddenly took a step forward and casually slapped Wang Song's hand. Wang Song and Jiang Yage's expressions changed at the same time. One wanted to flip out, and the other was afraid that Chen Guang would flip out. All right, let's go. It's just a meal. Jiang Yage pulled Chen Guang forcefully, and then pulled him straight ahead. Wang Song looked at the two of them from behind, especially at Jiang Yage, who was subconsciously holding onto Chen Guang's arm. His eyes were cold, and he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. However, he didn't say anything in the end. He had already achieved his goal of calling them out for a meal. As for Chen Guang, who was a hindrance, since they were already in Baishui County, there would be time and ways to deal with him later. This was not the Yanjing Emperor's territory, but Kainan Province's Baishui County. The last celebrity who dared to come to my territory and speak with a big tone left in tears. Who could do anything to me? When Chen Guang and Jiang Yage approached, Big Beard smiled awkwardly. I'm sorry, I didn't stop them. Jiang Yage waved her hand nonchalantly. It's okay. I'll leave after filling my stomach. It won't take much time. Chen Guang, who was next to her, muttered softly, Why are you so troublesome? When did you become so easy to talk to? Jiang Yage turned her head and smiled sweetly at Chen Guang. What? I've always been easy to talk to. Is that so? Why didn't I realize that before? That's because you had a preconceived impression of me in the past. Humph. Jiang Yage pinched Chen Guang's waist again. Actually, I think that we're just here to shoot a scene. There are only about 10 scenes in the Baishui scenic area in the script. We'll leave after a few days, and there's no need to make a big deal out of it. Although we're not afraid of trouble, it's better to have less trouble. The sooner we finish shooting the outdoor scenes, the sooner we can go back to shoot the kissing scene and the bed scene. Ahem. As Jiang Yage spoke, her voice became softer and softer. She accidentally revealed her true thoughts. Chen Guang didn't agree with Jiang Yage's thoughts. She really thought too highly of human nature. When she heard Nankang hum her song, she treated him as a real fan. She just had to coax him a little and everything would be fine. What she didn't know was that this guy was looking at us coldly from behind. Of course, Chen Guang didn't really care. If this guy named Sist really wanted to court death, even if he could cover the sky with one hand, he could just slap a hole in the sky. How big of a deal would that be? He had the capital to be conceited. Since Jiang Yage wanted to be a good person, he would give her a lesson. Chapter 975. Deng Xiaojiang followed behind with mixed feelings. At that moment, he really thought that Bun Sung would die. In the end, nothing happened. He was stunned. This was not the Jiang Yage he knew. Bun Sung was still feeling smug. Director Deng, you see, it's not that hard to invite her, right? Jiang Yage is quite approachable and easy to talk to. Deng Xiaojiang really did not want to bother with this guy. He just laughed and said, yes, yes. Seeing that big beard Deng was ignoring him, Bun Sung's mouth twitched. He had no interest in talking to him. He turned his head again to look at Chen Guang and Jiang Yage, who were walking down the stairs side by side. He thought to himself. What a joke, what's there to look at, big beard geezer? Didn't I invite you guys for a meal because of Jiang Yage? After waiting for so many years, I finally have the chance to get close to her. It's not a waste of my infatuation with you guys when my family was still poor. It's a pity that only one came. But forget it, it's better than nothing. Bun Sung looked at Jiang Yage and Chen Guang being overly intimate and gritted his teeth. Jiang Yage, why are you pretending to be a pure and innocent girl? Aren't you still 2 legs of meat after I peel off your skin? He thought of the time before his family made a fortune. When he was still an ordinary junior high school student, he was obsessed with collecting CDs and posters from his left and right hands. He even bought DVDs for the movies that the two of them acted in. He spent a lot of money on them. Later on, he finally became rich, but he never had the chance to get close to them. After all, everyone's social circles were different. Luckily, he could catch celebrities in Baishui County and the surrounding cities from time to time. But it was never enough. But in the past 6 months, Jin Shuyue and Chen Guang had a scandal. It was like a wake-up call to him. I treat you guys like goddesses in my heart, but you actually let someone else take advantage of you without saying a word? In any case, there was still one left. However, when it was revealed that Jiang Yage was going to shoot a movie with Chen Guang, and there were going to be kissing scenes and intimate scenes with Chen Guang, he almost went crazy. Although he had personally touched many big and small artists in the entertainment industry, in his heart, the former idol of his youth, who was almost the same age as him, should be holy and pure. He had suspected that it might be the hype of the movie, and that it was not real. His patience had reached its peak this afternoon. When he saw Jiang Yage emphasize this matter at the media conference, he was completely in despair. Sure enough, all the crows in the world were black. The so-called pure and innocent celebrities were just a facade that was packaged externally, and their left and right hands were no exception. Since she had begun to accept a larger scale, it meant that she might be switching to the sexy route. Then, when Bao Sung saw on the news that the production team was coming to Baishui County, he was overjoyed and tried his best to arrange a dinner party that night. It was precisely because it was a last-minute idea that Big Beard Deng was caught unprepared. He only received the dinner party notice when he arrived at the hotel. Now, the young master of Tongyuan real estate was thinking, aren't you going to switch? Then you definitely don't mind this kind of thing, right? It's just that you are a little more expensive and valuable. It doesn't matter, I don't lack money. I don't mind using force, and I'm not afraid of your revenge. In Baishui County, no one can do anything to me. As they got closer to the banquet hall, Bao Sung saw Zhao Yueling from afar, who was smiling and chatting with someone. He licked his lips. Although Jin Shuyue was not around, there was still Zhao Yueling, which was not bad. Bao Sung thought that no one knew what was going on in his mind. He even started to imagine the panicked expression on Jiang Yage's face when he barged into her room. Let's make a bet. Do you believe me? Chen Guang gently broke free from Jiang Yage's arms and said softly. What are we betting on? I bet that I will still have to fight tonight. If you want to make a big deal out of it, you are actually looking for trouble. Jiang Yage did not believe it. Really? I'll bet on another thing. The table is just in front. Do you see that pile of fat people? When we get there, the fat guy sitting in the middle will stand up and thank us for coming to Baishui County to film a movie and help them promote the county. Jiang Yage still did not believe it. She felt that Chen Guang's words were too unbelievable. After the fat guy speaks, the middle-aged man in the brown suit on the other side will stand up and say that we are late, so we have to drink 3 glasses of wine as punishment. Dream on. Who do you think I am? A drinking girl? After all, I'm still a big shot. Chen Guang grinned slightly. Just watch. I'm not afraid that you will feel sad. In these people's hearts, you are no different from a drinking girl. I don't believe it. You were so well protected in the past. You are simply otherworldly. Chen Guang laughed. The two of them chatted and walked closer. Sure enough, the fat guy in the middle stood up happily. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the two of you. On behalf of the people of the county, I welcome the two of you to Baishui County. Thank you for coming. You are filming a movie in Baishui County, and you can bring the style of our county to the people of the whole country. It is really a blessing for the people of Baishui County. This fat guy was obviously a local government official, and his position was not low. But for some reason, when he introduced himself, he even forgot to say his name. He also did not clearly state his position. It was probably controlled by some mysterious power called, "Do not vilify officials above the bureau level." As he spoke, he stretched out his hand to Jiang Yage, as if he wanted to shake her hand. Chen Guang took a step forward and snatched the other party's hand. Then he turned back and blinked at Jiang Yage. How was it? Did I say it correctly? Jiang Yage, who was preoccupied, forced a smile at the official. Then she turned her head and looked at the middle-aged man in the brown suit that Chen Guang had mentioned earlier. This person had indeed stood up with a glass of wine in his hand. He laughed. Welcome to the two of you. I am Tong Yuan Real Estate's Bo Fei Kai 1, Bo Kai 1, and Gong Shi Fa Kai 1. Just now, my son Tong and Song came to invite the two of you. Thank you for your hard work. But in our Baishui County, there are rules here. But these rules are applicable everywhere. If you are late for the banquet, you will have to drink 3 glasses of wine as a penalty. The two of you are guests from afar, so it is not appropriate to punish the two of you. But the rules cannot be broken. How about this? I will also represent the Baishui County business community to toast the two of you 3 glasses. This is not considered a penalty, right? I will drink first as a sign of respect. After Bo Fei Kai 1 finished speaking, he did not wait for Chen Guang and Jiang Yage to reply. He raised his head and drank 3 glasses in a row. When he was done, he flipped the lid of the glass in front of the two of them, indicating that it was empty. He raised his hand and said, "Please." Jiang Yage was stunned. She felt that Chen Guang was a god. He had guessed everything correctly. Was this guy a prophet? Chen Guang raised his eyebrows at her, feeling indescribably pleased. This little trick was nothing at all. He had just used his world-class acting skills and mental strength to the extreme. The moment he saw this group of people, he had already figured out most of their thoughts. Those who came did not come with good intentions, and those with good intentions did not come. This group of people, including the fat official, were all brought here by Bao Song as a cover. This bastard had really put in a lot of effort for Jiang Yage. As the two of them exchanged glances, the waiter in the banquet hall had already, sensibly, brought a tray over. On the tray were 3 white jade porcelain cups that were filled to the brim. Drinking 3 glasses of wine as a penalty was easy to say, but 3 glasses of wine would cost 2 taels and 4 taels. Regardless of how high Jiang Yage's alcohol tolerance was, even an ordinary man would have to think twice before drinking 2 glasses of wine on an empty stomach. Seeing that the two of them did not move, Bo Fei Kai 1 waved his hand again and said heavily, "Please. You should at least give me this bit of face, right?" Bao Song, who had been standing behind the two of them, also came forward and said darkly, "You are already late. My father has already toasted 3 glasses of wine. Are you not going to drink this bit of wine? Are you looking down on our Baishui County's wine?" Seeing that the situation was not looking good, Big Beard came forward to smooth things over. Jiang Yage is indeed not feeling well today, so she can't drink. Furthermore, she doesn't drink to begin with. Otherwise, as the director, I would drink on their behalf. As Big Beard spoke, he reached out for the glasses on the tray. However, there was a loud slap as Bao En-sung slapped the back of Big Beard's hand. Director Deng, open your eyes wide and take a look. Or do you think we are all blind and stupid? Isn't Jiang Yage in good spirits? Where is she not feeling well? From the start, she has been acting all high and mighty. Now that my father is the host and the elder, he has already drunk 3 glasses of wine. There is no reason for you to drink on his behalf. Get out of my way. Bao En-sung had already turned hostile in public. The faces of Ren Chong, Zhao Yueling, Zhou Ya, Yang Shi, and the rest at the table changed. They all turned to look at the fat official in the middle, hoping that he would quickly step forward to smooth things over. Unexpectedly, the fat official's expression did not change. Instead, he put on a fake smile and said, "The people of Baishui County are simple and honest, and they are very particular about the rules. Everyone, when in Rome, do as the Romans do." All right, let's not talk too much. Let's drink a few glasses and sit down to have a good talk. Those who come from afar are our guests, and of course, we are also our friends. The location where you chose the location for the movie is coincidentally the location where Tongyuan Real Estate is planning to develop a villa project. There are many things that require the cooperation of Tongyuan's boss, Bao. We have to give him face. That's right. Boss Bao hasn't had such a good drink with others in many years. We can't wait to be envious. Which celebrity can't drink? Miss Jiang, don't hold back. Everyone is watching. Let's drink. That's not giving him face. Why? Is it because Boss Bao doesn't have enough face? Then let's add me, who happens to be the director of the Tourism Bureau. That should be enough, right? Another fat middle-aged man stood up abruptly and downed 3 glasses in a row. Jiang Yage saw everything from beginning to end, but she did not say a word. Of course, it was not that she did not know how to drink at all. In the past, when she sang with her friends in Yanjing, she would occasionally drink red wine, but that was only to moisten the throat and lungs. As a professional singer, the voice was half of one's life. Cigarettes and alcohol were taboo, especially this kind of spicy, high-alcohol liquor. It was almost impossible for her to appear in such social occasions in her life. She had never seen such a scene, and she had never been forced to drink. Looking at the officials of Baishui County, or the so-called business celebrities, all of them were smiling, but in the eyes of Jiang Yage, they were simply ferocious beasts that wanted to eat people. Don't you know that singers can't drink liquor? And this is such a big 3 glasses. I'm still a girl. What the hell is in your head? She was so angry that her body started to tremble. At this moment, Chen Guang patted her shoulder. How is it? Did I say it wrong? It's not that easy to be a good person, right? Jiang Yage's heart immediately calmed down. Oh, right, the director of the Guangdong General Administration was right beside her. What am I afraid of? What am I angry about? If Baishui County was really that rotten, then I might as well turn it upside down. Jiang Yage nodded. I can't be a good person. If you can't be, then don't. Chen Guang shrugged nonchalantly. The others saw the two chatting as if no one else was around, and they did not know what they were up to. The Bao father and son felt even more disregarded, and they were furious. Only Big Beard Deng knew that Chen Guang was going to turn the table. No matter how afraid he was, he still had to cause trouble. These people from Baishui County were really out of their league. Chapter 976. On the other side, Chen Guang had already picked up a wine glass from the waiter's tray, but he didn't drink it. Instead, he looked around before his gaze landed on Get-Rich Bag's face. Boss Meow, I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it or not. Face is something that people have to support. I'm not even close to you, so why should I give you face? He held the glass with an indecipherable expression on his face. What? Get rich bag's expression froze. What did you say, you little brat? A businessman in a suit beside Get Rich Bag slammed the table and was about to stand up. Chen Guang glared at him. Little brat? Sit properly. Really, I haven't heard anyone call me a little brat in a long time. Being stared at by Chen Guang, this person felt an inexplicable chill in his heart. He couldn't lift his slightly bent legs anymore. With that, Chen Guang didn't wait for that person to speak. Instead, he held the glass with his right thumb and middle finger and pointed at everyone on the table with his left hand. He enunciated clearly, today, all of you came and went because of your face. Let me ask you, what face do you have? We're tired from our long journey and wanted to rest in our rooms, but we were called here to drink and laugh with you. Who are you giving face to? Now that we're here, we haven't even seen the chopsticks, and you've ordered 3 glasses. Who are you? I'm giving you face, but who's giving me face? This is Baishui County, but it's also China. Not your Baishui County, but China's Baishui County. There's never been a rule that says a singer has to drink at a table, and there's never been a rule that says a singer has to drink baijiu. So, today, I won't give you face. With that, Chen Guang exerted force in his hand and crushed the white porcelain cup in his palm. However, the skin on his hand wasn't cut. Instead, he let the white porcelain cup turn into powder and drip the wine onto the table. At the same time, he used the back of his left hand to flip the tray that the waiter was holding. The 5 glasses fell to the ground and shattered, spilling wine all over the floor. For a moment, the banquet hall was so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. The group of demons and ghosts had wanted to put the 2 popular stars in their place, but no one had expected Chen Guang to react so fiercely. If their previous behavior was not giving face, then this was basically a slap in the face. Damn it. You're looking for a beating. I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. A burly man standing behind Nong and Song saw that his boss was slapped in the face and bellowed angrily. He flipped over and picked up a chair from behind, wanting to smash it towards the back of Chen Guang's head. Seeing this, Big Beard Deng shouted, "Don't." He shouted as he tried to block the attack. But he was one step too late. Chen Guang wasn't hit. Instead, as if he had eyes on the back of his head, he clenched his right fist that had just crushed the cup and casually swung it backward without turning his head, hitting the solid wooden chair. With a loud explosion, wood splinters flew everywhere. The chair was smashed into pieces and flew in all directions. Although he wasn't hit by Chen Guang, the burly man, who was only hit by the chair in his hand, felt as if he was struck by lightning. He flew backward for 5 to 6 meters and crashed into the table on the other side. Fortunately, Chen Guang didn't kill him. Otherwise, the force that was sent through the wood would have been enough for him to die 1,000 times. All of this happened too quickly. Just when everyone was dumbfounded, not knowing how Chen Guang sent the man flying, he moved again. Who cares about face? Come. I'm giving you such a big face. Chen Guang took a step forward, raised his hand and slapped down on the huge dining table that was covered with a red curtain and had a diameter of 4 meters. A loud bang rang out, and the gigantic dining table shook violently. Starting from the spot where his palm hit, it collapsed to the ground as if it was a dead tree branch that had been smashed by his palm. The table full of dishes and wine fell to the ground, leaving only a circle of people holding chopsticks dumbfoundedly looking at the empty space in front of them. Chen Guang's exquisite internal strength control not only smashed the table, but also didn't let a piece of wood break out and hurt anyone. However, the table was completely shattered. The waiters at the side were even more scared out of their wits. They knew very well how sturdy the table was. Everyone, I've given you enough face, right? Chen Guang didn't waste any more time. He turned to Deng Xiaojiang and grinned, "Director Deng, take people back to their rooms to rest. If they haven't eaten enough, asked the hotel to send more food. We still have to shoot tomorrow. Rest early and conserve energy. We don't want to waste time here. This was the first time Deng Xiaojiang saw Chen Guang's power. His heart was pounding. He knew that this kid was not the same as before. Previously, he only had a faint guess. Now that he finally saw him angry, it really broadened his horizons. This ferocious tiger released from its cage was enough to take someone's life. Just what was this brat's previous special identity? Damn, with this skill of his, he didn't even need to add post-production special effects to make a martial arts film. Big Beard couldn't care less. He immediately called Ren Chong and the others to leave. He had long wanted to slip away. Everyone, please excuse me. It's nice to meet you. I hope we can cooperate happily in this trip to Baishui County. After Chen Guang finished speaking, he grinned again. He pulled Jiang Yage and followed Big Beard and the others upstairs, leaving behind a mess in the banquet hall. The bodyguard from Tongyuan, who was sent flying by his inner force, was still groaning on the ground. His companions were standing by the side, not knowing whether to help him or not. When Chen Guang and Jiang Yage passed by, these men were so nervous that their hair stood on end. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they were far away. This is simply overturning the sky. After waiting for a long time for Chen Guang and Jiang Yage's figures to disappear from the staircase, Dan and Sung supported his ashen-faced father. With a gloomy face, he said fiercely, "What does he think our Baishui County is? How can he behave so atrociously?" The fat official, who was suspected to be the local leader, also blushed. Although he didn't suffer any losses from the beginning to the end, his face was burning with pain. After a night's worth of face, he was now completely disgraced. But when he looked at the table on the ground, he felt a sting in his teeth. D*MN, how did this celebrity named Chen Guang's palm grow? This was a solid wood table. How did he make the entire table collapse just by slapping a corner? If he had slapped a human body, wouldn't they have been smashed into pieces like this table? Futsai Meng was speechless for a long time. He turned to look at his son. Stop it. Forget it. It's all your fault. Let's go. With that, Futsai Meng shook his clothes and led the way away. The fat official shouted from behind, "Boss Meng." Futsai Meng turned back. "Mayor Hu, don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Dan and Sung chased after Futsai Meng, still a little unwilling. "Dad. Shut up. If you like celebrities, go find your own celebrities. I've never cared about you in the past, but this time, we can't afford to offend this Chen Guang." Futsai Meng recalled that a few years ago, when he was planning to develop a scenic area, he had led a team deep into the mountains to look for a suitable place to build a villa. When they were deep in the mountains, they had chanced upon a prostitute. At that time, his brother had said something frivolous, and in the end, he had been slapped into a tree and died on the spot. If not for the fact that he and the others had knelt down and begged for mercy in time, they would have been slapped to death as well. That was a really powerful person, and it was also an experience that Futsai Meng didn't want to recall. Of course, that woman had warned him before she left that he was forbidden from mentioning his encounter with her to anyone else. If not, she would hunt him down for thousands of miles without mercy. But what Chen Guang had done was even scarier than that woman. "And Sung, you must listen carefully. We'll forget about this matter. Don't ever think about Jiang Yage again." "Why?" Dan and Sung didn't understand. "Don't ask me why. I just won't allow it." Futsai Meng turned around and gave Dan and Sung a kick, then quickened his pace. He was thinking that after they finished filming the movie, he would have to find an appropriate reason to apologize to her. Although everyone in Baishui County respected this boss Meng, he had become a little arrogant over the years and felt that he was really powerful. But now that he had been awakened by Chen Guang's slap, he knew that there were real experts in this world who could kill without leaving a trace. He was also afraid. What had helped him turn Tongyuan Real Estate from a small construction team into the biggest real estate company in Baishui County, other than his ruthlessness, was also the 7-word mantra of "a wise man submits to circumstances." Dan and Sung looked at his father's hurried back view, and there was some disapproval in his eyes. But in the end, he didn't dare to contradict his father, and only gritted his teeth secretly. On the other side, Chen Guang and Jiang Yage went upstairs to their room. Along the way, Jiang Yage kept grabbing Chen Guang's hand and looking at it. "Is your hand okay? That piece of wood looks so hard." Jiang Yage said worriedly, but her eyes were looking at his hand with interest. "That's strange, did you crush the wine glass in your hand just now? Why are you perfectly fine?" Chen Guang snatched his hand back. "You were hoping that something would happen to me?" "Of course not. I was just worried." "Oh, is that so? Then you were worried for nothing. That day when I was with you at the Silver Bull Hotel, I actually deflected a bullet with my fist. This broken piece of wood is nothing." Jiang Yage stuck out her tongue mischievously. "That's amazing." "Of course. You're amazing in that aspect too." "Shut up." Seeing that they were about to return to their floor, Jiang Yage pulled Chen Guang back. What? Don't go and kill people at night. You're not the director of the Guangding General Headquarters anymore." Chen Guang smiled and nodded. "Don't worry, I understand. I don't have the identity of a law enforcement officer now. If I rely on my skills and kill people I don't like, what's the difference between me and those internal force martial artists that I hated the most in the past? It'll also make things difficult for your grandfather and your colleagues in the Guangding General Headquarters, right?" Jiang Yage nodded. "Yes, actually, this is what my grandfather asked me to tell you before I came to Kainan Province this time. I forgot to say it before. But don't worry, I won't let this matter go just like that. I'll call my family later. As long as there's even the slightest bit of unclean behavior in that lousy county magistrate and fortune monger, I'll investigate them thoroughly. They won't have many good days ahead of them." Chen Guang nodded. "It's impossible for them to be clean like that. It's better to investigate them thoroughly. But it'll take a few days. We need evidence to arrest them." "I understand. But tonight, the leaders of Kainan Province should greet the people of Baishui County, and they'll settle down." "That's good. I reckon that by the time we finish filming here and get ready to move to another place, the investigation team will have almost finished collecting evidence. By that time, we can leave 2 days later to watch the show. If we leave 2 days earlier, we'll have nothing to do with it." Chen Guang smiled indifferently. "I hope so." Chapter 977. Everyone went back to their rooms. Poor Master Guang waited for more than half an hour, but Jiang Yage's exercise video still didn't come. She should be busy making phone calls to complain about what happened today. After waiting for a long time, his phone finally beeped. He picked it up and took a look. A video call request. Coming. Whoosh. His clothes were gone. If a man wants to do his job well, he must first take off his clothes. Whoosh. His pants flew too. If a man wants to sharpen his spear, he must first take off his pants. 3 circles to the left and 3 circles to the right. Everyone, let's train together. At this time, some people were about to say, "Why do you have to rely on yourself when you're just next door? Are you stupid?" The person who said such sarcastic words must be single. Why did so many people still want to watch videos or watch the live stream of sexy and hot girls when they were clearly married and had wives? It could not be explained in theory, but such a phenomenon existed objectively. Master Guang could tell everyone righteously that this was different. The feeling was really completely different. Watching short videos or large-scale videos, or watching one-on-one live streams like Jiang Yage's were actually for the sake of feelings. Mortals like you don't understand the noble faith of admiring beautiful bodies on the screen. Only faith and feelings could not be erased. Then, Chen Guang happily pressed the accept button and was ready to get to work. Hey! Xiao Chen, what are you doing? Huh? You're half naked and ready to sleep? Old Zhang's big head appeared in the video. His face was oily and cheerful, like the bright lamp in the black liquid, the Maitreya Buddha. Chen Guang was so scared that his hand trembled, and his phone almost fell off the bed. The pile driver that had just felt a little bit fell down with a whoosh. Fortunately, he had turned on the front camera, facing himself and not down below. Otherwise, old Zhang's eyes might have been injured from the shock. I'm really seeing a ghost. When the call request popped up just now, Chen Guang saw the word Jiang at first glance. He did not think too much about it and only thought that the benefits were in place. Who would have thought that this Jiang was not the other Jiang? You're a man, an old man in his 70s or 80s, why are you video chatting with me in the middle of the night? What was wrong with him? Fortunately, the old man was talented. Otherwise, if it was someone else who was excited to see a girl, but it turned out to be a big baldy like him, he would be so scared that he wilted, okay? After a while, Chen Guang pulled the quilt over himself and looked at old Jiang grumpily, saying, Grandpa Jiang, you should have called me in the middle of the night. Why did you call me? Old Jiang chuckled. Didn't my good granddaughter call me to complain just now? She blamed us for not sending guards to her this time. In the past, she always said that she was annoying. Now that she's in trouble, she blames me for not making arrangements. Tell me, as a grandfather, why is my life so bitter and difficult? Chen Guang laughed it off. It's indeed difficult. It's hard to please. In the video, old Jiang seemed to empathize with him. So, am I not embarrassed? Didn't I think that you wouldn't be around this time? You might as well not send anyone. Even if there's a hole as big as the sky, you can still take it, right? Chen Guang nodded. Yes, if she can lose even a hair, I will cut off my toes and make soup for you, Grandpa Jiang. F***ck off. I don't want to stew your toes. So, Grandpa Jiang, what are you trying to say by playing my video? You really don't have to worry about Jiang Ye's safety. She is safe. Here's the thing. Anyway, we all know what happened today. You did a good job and restrained yourself. You deserve praise. These people in Baishui County are too lawless. Don't worry. I will give you an explanation later. Don't give me an explanation. Give your granddaughter an explanation. I didn't suffer any grievances. Old Jiang nodded again and again. That's right. Anyway, I have sent someone to beat up the rats in Baishui County. Don't do it yourself without evidence. Chen Guang shrugged. If these people don't come to make trouble, I won't provoke them, okay? But I don't think it's so easy. Maybe some people are thinking of secretly making a few people disappear in this uninhabited White Mountain black water. No one will be able to find out. How dare they? Old Jiang glared at him. Chen Guang chuckled. Don't you dare? The two looked at each other for a few seconds through the phone, and old Jiang shook his head with a wry smile. I really can't guarantee it. Rome wasn't built in a day. A place like Baishui County wasn't the only one in the vast Huaxia Empire. Perhaps the people there had been running amok every day, and they had really developed a sky-high courage. Old Jiang seemed to be a little hesitant. What if they really make trouble again? Chen Guang was still smiling. First, I will protect Jiang Ye from any harm. Second, I will kill them all. Even though they were separated by 2 mobile phone cameras and thousands of kilometers, old Jiang still felt the murderous intent from Chen Guang. His extremely powerful personal strength had indeed made this kid a little different from the past. In the past, he liked to make jokes and would only show his edge when he was forced into a desperate situation. Although he could still control himself now, he had become much more angular in the end. His eyes were a bit scary. Okay, that's all for now. Little Chen, have a good rest. After hanging up the video call, old Jean poked his head out from the side. Old Jiang, aren't you afraid of being laughed at by video chatting with a young man? Old Jiang argued, what do you know? Are you trying to see if your good granddaughter is in his room? Old Jean asked with a smirk. Go away. Just watch your own baby granddaughter. Why are you interfering with me? Old Jiang waved his hand impatiently. In fact, he was glad that the layout of the room behind Qin was different from the one in Song Pavilion. Qin didn't stay still for long. Jiang Yage sent him a message. Do you want to exercise? Qin replied decisively, no, not tonight. Sleep early. Get up early tomorrow to film. Exercise my ass. He was so scared that he didn't want to exercise at all. In the next room, Jiang Yage threw away the thing in her hand and unwillingly pinched the corner of her carefully prepared pink chiffon nightdress, muttering, what's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly not in the mood? After a long time, the more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She kicked the electric thing off the bed. Grandpa must have taken up too much of my time. Otherwise, Grandpa must have called him just now. So annoying. What a busybody. Forget it. There's still a few days before Sister Shirue comes. There's no hurry. Another day. Not long after, she adjusted her mood. She jumped onto the bed, rolled up the blanket, and fell into a deep sleep in less than 2 minutes. In the next room, Qin didn't feel sleepy at all. Others might feel sleepy because of the long journey, but not him. Qin leaned against the window, looking at the night sky of Baishuehe, which was much clearer than the 5 capitals. The stars that hadn't been seen for a long time were twinkling in the sky. He muttered to himself, such a beautiful place. What a pity. With his current strength, or perhaps with his identity, killing a few or even dozens of people with criminal records with dirty hands and feet was actually not a big deal that he could not bear. But Qin was afraid himself. He had seen Ouyang Tianqing's human skin mask, and he had also seen the shadow alliances and scrupulous martial artists in the past. Now, whether it was his strength or status, he had actually far surpassed Ouyang Tianqing and the shadow alliance that he had worked hard to build. So, Qin was trying his best to restrain his impulse to kill. In the long 130,000 years of the Jinwu continent's life, he had also temporarily fallen into the demon of massacring, unable to extricate himself. When he suddenly woke up, he turned around and saw a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. He had to restrain himself to maintain his humanity. No matter how strong a person was, if he lost his humanity, then he would no longer be a person. Moreover, the people in the real world weren't like the people in the Jinwu realm. If they died, then they died. In any case, they would still be a good man after 20 years. In this real world, he didn't know whether people had an afterlife. So he couldn't go on a killing spree. Qin was a good person. He might not be like the sun, but he had a righteous heart. Now that he had become stronger, the more powerful he was, the more responsibility he had to bear. Although he had to do things like punishing evil and promoting good, he couldn't do it just because he liked it. He didn't have the leisure and time to investigate the background of the Bao family's father and son. But now that someone was investigating, there was no need to be anxious. Qin didn't want to become like Ouyang Tianqing. His butcher knife was sharper, but he wouldn't easily unsheath it. Once it was unsheathed, there would be no hidden dangers, and he would kill everyone. So, he had to be justified, so that he wouldn't feel guilty for killing the wrong person. He could see through people's hearts to a certain extent, but he couldn't see through other people's faces. From the past until now, the Bao family's father and son didn't look like good people. But now, he couldn't be sure whether they deserved to be executed or not. So, he would give them a chance for now, and also give himself a chance. If he really found out that there was a problem, it wouldn't be a big deal if he didn't find it troublesome to do it himself. In the police station about 3 to 4 miles away from the scenic hotel, Bao Sung was bored to death sitting in the chief's office, watching TV and eating melon seeds. Suddenly, the office door opened, and a middle-aged man with a square face walked in, looking travel-worn. He took off his coat and threw it on the chair. Damn it, the late autumn weather in Baishui is so damn cold. I don't know what's wrong with the county leader's brain. He wants to crack down without a word, and there's no warning at all. Then why did you come back after just half an hour? Bao Sung crossed his legs and sat on the office chair with a square face. He was chewing crispy food in his mouth, and he didn't look proper at all. Didn't I come to see you? Since you, young Master Bao, have invited me, how dare I delay outside? Oh right, why are you looking for me in the middle of the night? Hurry up and tell me, I still have to go out for patrol after serving you. I asked Deputy Chief Song about it, and it seems that a big shot has come to our county, and it's very important. I don't dare to be caught red-handed. Bao Sung sat on the seat with the square face, but he didn't mind. Instead, he sat on the sofa and chatted happily with Bao Sung. Chapter 978. The moment this big shot is mentioned, Woong Sung's stomach is raging, and he spits out the seeds in his mouth. K those big shots. Aren't they just a few celebrities? That mayor who is too much. He pretended to be polite in front of my father, and now he wants you all to crack down on them? Isn't this a slap to my father's and my face? K his ancestors. Do you still want to stay in Baishui River? The square-faced inspector saw Woong Sung looking like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, and he seems to know more than him. He is confused. Young Master Bao, what's going on? Can you tell me? When I asked, Deputy Chief Song asked me not to talk too much, and he was acting mysterious and nervous. He asked me to just do my job and not ask anything else. I don't really understand. Woong Sung's eyes are wide open. What does Song Liang mean? Is he trying to go against me and my father? Young Master Bao, what kind of celebrities are they? I did not watch the news today. I went out to arrest people in the morning, and I don't know what's going on in the county. Woong Sung slaps the table. K. Who else can it be? Chen Guang, Jiang Yage, Deng Xiaojiang, and the rest. Big shots? Pooey. They're just a bunch of actors, and they're the best at acting. Song Liang Ji was at the table when we were eating. How can he not know who they are? What's there to be nervous about? Can a slap be harder than a bullet? Young Master Bao, do you have a grudge with them? It's not just a grudge. This is a huge grudge. I'm furious, and my father is also furious. Do you know that when my father toasted Chen Guang, he refused to drink and even flipped the table? He embarrassed me and my father in front of everyone. K, that who fella was still trying to put in a good word for my father, and I thought he was trying to help us. Now he's trying to suck up to these actors? He must be kidding me. The square-faced deputy chief feels that things are not that simple. Young Master Bao, maybe they really have some background. Wan Sung rolled his eyes. Background? What kind of background could they possibly have? If they really had a powerful background, wouldn't they have said so when I asked them to come down and eat with me? Let me tell you, that Chen Guang is a gutsy hothead who thinks his fists are the hardest, so he acts like he's the best. Then why are you looking for me now, young master now? Square-faced had a bad feeling about this. That's right, old Shen, we're old friends. You also know that I can't bear to be wronged, not to mention that my father has lost face along with me. We have to give them an explanation. They can't pretend that nothing happened and finish filming in Baishueha comfortably. Otherwise, how can I and my dad face in the future? Wouldn't we become the joke of the county? Square-faced man shook his head vigorously. No, young Master Bo and Boss Bo are both big shots in our county. Who would dare to laugh at you? Damn it. Now, County Head Hu and Song Liangji are already going against my dad. Old Shen, do me a favor and find an excuse to mess with them. It would be best if you can detain Chen Guang for a few days. I don't believe that he would dare to hit the police no matter how good he is at fighting. If he dares to resist, you might as well arrange for a hothead to shoot him. Don't worry, as long as I'm around, he won't be sentenced to death. I'll take care of the fines and jail time for him. He'll be released in 2 to 3 years, and when he's comfortable, you guys will get your share of the money. I guarantee you that I'll think of a way to send you to Song Liangji's position the year after next, okay? Old Shen heard this and secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. The person who came this time had really offended square-faced Woonsong. But he really didn't dare to agree and kept shaking his head. This won't work. Young Master Bo, listen to me. Although he's just an actor, he's still a celebrity. If things get out of hand, he won't be able to stop it. It's not like you haven't seen how the whole country has been in the limelight for the past 2 years. When the time comes, it's not just a matter of keeping his job, he might even lose his head. You're not going to do it? Square-faced man said gloomily. You're going to mess with me like Song Liangji? Of course not. I just feel that this isn't appropriate. It's not worth it. Actually, Old Shen didn't care about the celebrity status of Chen Guang and the others. He remembered that when he had called Deputy Chief Song on the way back, the latter's voice had been trembling. It was obvious that he had been given quite a fright. This wasn't a simple matter. It was definitely not as simple as square-faced man thought. He couldn't get involved in this mess. When he heard that square-faced man actually wanted Chen Guang's life, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. This was too heavy a scapegoat. He was just the chief of a small scenic police station, so he couldn't handle it. As the two of them were talking, the office door was suddenly kicked open. The two of them turned to look at the door, only to see Rich Bag and a few men in black suits standing at the door with cold expressions. What are you guys talking about? Square-faced man asked sternly as he walked in quickly. Old Shen hurriedly waved his hands. Boss Bag, nothing, nothing, my fat eye glared at him, then turned to face Nong and Song. His hand reached out to grab his stupid son's ear, twisting it as he said angrily, I just heard from the servants that you came out again. I knew you were going to cause trouble again. Damn it, you're really here. Ouch. Dad. Ouch. My ear is about to fall off. Square-faced man lifted his head up and shouted non-stop. Square-faced man kicked him again. Drag this idiot back home and lock him up. Without my permission, don't let him out. Dad, what do you mean by this? I just can't stand to see you lose face. Face my A**s. All you care about is face. You've already played us to the point that we're about to lose face. As square-faced man carried square-faced man away, square-faced man turned back and glared at Old Shen. Inspector Shen, I don't know what that prodigal square-faced man said to you just now, but that's not important. Just ignore what he said and let him go. Do you hear me? Old Shen looked at square-faced man, thinking that this big boss might have felt the severity of the situation and was restraining square-faced man like never before. He didn't dare to tell him that square-faced man had wanted Chen Guang's life just now, so he just nodded. Okay. I'll remember that, boss square-faced man. Actually, young square-faced man didn't say much just now. He just wanted me to see if I could bring people to find some loopholes in their security during filming. I didn't agree to that. Square-faced man nodded in satisfaction. That's good. Inspector Shen, you've handled this well. I heard that your sister bought a house in Tongyuan East City, right? Yes, boss square-faced man, your house's quality is excellent. I persuaded my sister to buy it. That's good. Ask your sister's family to come to my company another day. I'll arrange for someone to go with them to the bank to settle the prepayment. What square-faced man told you today, only the heavens, the earth, and you know. No one else knows, okay? Old Shen was overjoyed. Of course. Thank you, boss square-faced man. After they walked far away, Old Shen was still happy. Tonight's trip was not in vain. Square-faced man brought square-faced man home. He was full of grievances, but seeing his father's gloomy face, he didn't dare to say anything else. When the father and son arrived home, it was already past midnight. Square-faced man turned back to look at his son. Come in. Square-faced man shrunk his head and obediently followed him in, feeling extremely wronged. Dad, I know I was wrong. Square-faced man had used this trick since he was young, and it was especially useful. Regardless of the consequences, he would first admit his mistake and admit his cowardice, then pretend to be even more wronged. No matter how angry his father was, he would always be able to appease his anger. As expected, square-faced man's anger was greatly reduced. He had wanted to give him a good beating, but seeing his pitiful look, his heart softened. Previously, this reckless son of his had dragged 7 or 8 scoundrel friends to kill a female student. At that time, it caused a huge commotion in the county, and he had to use a lot of effort to suppress the matter. At that time, when he wanted to beat him up, he had also pleaded for leniency. At this moment, a middle-aged plump woman walked down the stairs of the villa. Square-faced man, what are you doing? Don't stare at your son like that. Do you want to eat him up? It's not like you don't know that square-faced man is just a little mischievous. He'll be fine in a few years. Square-faced man, don't bother about your dad. Go up and rest. It's already midnight. The plump woman pushed square-faced man, and square-faced man hurriedly went upstairs. He was finally free. Sooner or later, he'll get into trouble because of your blind doting. Square-faced man glared at the plump woman. The plump woman didn't mind. What else can you do? You want to hit him for such a small matter? What if you hurt him? You only have this one son. Oh. I understand. Did you have an illegitimate child with that flirtatious and cheap female secretary long ago? You want to cripple square-faced man and leave square-faced man Tongyuan to that illegitimate child, right? Square-faced man was so angry that he couldn't speak for a while. Why you? What you? Don't think that I don't know what you're planning. Nonsense. You're being unreasonable. Square-faced man waved his hand furiously and went straight upstairs. Although what the plump woman said about the illegitimate child was true, he didn't intend to leave that woman a lot of assets. At most, he would leave her with a few tens of millions of assets. He said that the plump woman pampered square-faced man too much, but in fact, it was also because the plump woman came downstairs to plead for him, so he secretly found a way out of this embarrassing situation. He comforted himself this way. Actually, as a father, I'm very strict. It's just that I have an unreasonable wife. The reason why Dan and Sung ended up in this state was because his mother had stood out to cover for him whenever something happened. It was the same with that female student previously. In the end, he didn't manage to teach square-faced man a lesson. However, seeing how scared he was just now, square-faced man thought that he might have learned his lesson this time. Anyway, he could just lock him up until the filming crew left. Nothing bad would happen, right? After settling everything at home angrily, square-faced man went to call County Magistrate Hu. County Magistrate Hu didn't say much to him. He only said that the provincial government had called to cooperate with Deng Xiaojiang's filming crew, especially public security. They didn't allow any evil forces to cause trouble to the filming crew, and they were also prohibited from interfering with filming in the name of a meal. Square-faced man expressed that he understood. There wasn't much to do tonight. Since the higher-ups had informed him, he would get Tongyuan Company to cooperate. He would even personally greet the other big and small forces in the county. County Magistrate Hu was very satisfied with square-faced man's attitude and felt a lot more at ease. Anyway, thank you, boss square-faced man. It wasn't easy for Baishui County to have such a situation. Square-faced man nodded. Understood. Don't worry, old who. I know what to do. That's good, that's good. I won't disturb your rest. Okay, let's talk when we meet again. Chapter 979. After hanging up, someone next to County Magistrate Who asked. Aren't you going to tell him who called? County Head Who shook his head. Let's not talk about it. There's no point in talking too much. He might even think that I'm trying to scare him. Today's incident had hurt his reputation. Let's cooperate with the higher-ups and pretend that nothing happened after he leaves. That's right. God knows what connections Qinguang has. We have accidentally stepped on the tiger's tail. County Magistrate Who took a puff of his cigarette. Don't worry. I will call the city government. Let's keep a low profile and cooperate with them. Let's get the city government to help us talk to them. At this moment, the people of Baishui County still didn't know that a disaster was about to befall them. Things couldn't be passed just because they said so. On the crew's side, although something had happened last night, the professional crew still got up early. At about 6:00, they got up one after another and set off at 6:30 sharp. 3 buses filled with staff, plus 8 trucks filled with filming equipment and props, rumbled as they set off for the depths of the scenic spot. The plot of the Baishui scenic area's iconic waterfall was as follows. In order to help the retired hero regain his state and find back the desire to win that had been worn away in the handicraft shop for many years, Jiang Yage, who played the role of a small fan, took him to the deep mountains and forests and let him train like a savage in the mountains and forests. At the same time, she spent a lot of money to hire a retired Muay Thai master and pretended to meet him by chance. Qinguang and the Muay Thai master met by chance under the waterfall and had a duel. After that, he began to receive technical guidance and special training from the Muay Thai master. Finally, he learned some of the footwork techniques of Muay Thai, and his body functions gradually recovered to the state before he retired. In this film, the male lead played by Qinguang will be divided into 3 ages, from the prime of his youth to the middle-aged, and finally to the old. The middle-aged will have the most scenes, and it will be the most complicated. He is very young now, and his makeup must be perfect to make him look like a middle-aged man. This is a great test for the makeup artist. Fortunately, Qinguang's acting skills are excellent. Even if there are some flaws in the makeup, his performance in front of the camera is impeccable. It was about 10 a.m. when they arrived, and the main cast and crew started to touch up their makeup, while the props team and crew got busy. By the time they could start shooting, it was already noon, just in time to receive the bento boxes that the crew had ordered. Each person had 1 box, and that was it. They started work at 12:30 a.m., and the afternoon passed in the blink of an eye. The progress was faster than Big Beard had imagined. All the scenes were shot in 1 take, which is an experience that not every director has the chance to experience. Director Deng, shall we leave? Qinguang asked as he took off his prosthetic body. Big Beard Deng looked up at the sky. Sigh, there are only 3 scenes left. If we move quickly, we can finish filming in another hour or so. What a pity. Then let's continue. But we have to shoot during the day, and we can't shoot at night. Big Beard had a headache. If he went back now, he would have to come back early the next morning and continue shooting after his makeup was done. He was afraid that he would not be able to start work until noon, and then he would have to shoot an hour of scenes, which would basically be wasted the next day. Of course, in his original plan, the scenes at the Great Waterfall would take at least 2 days. It was already much faster than he had expected to shoot this much in 1 day. But now, he was hanging by the tail. He did not know whether to shoot or not to shoot. For this little scene, he would have to waste another day tomorrow, and he would not feel good. He was really happy and troubled. After the incident last night, although Qinguang had won back his face, the other party seemed to have pinched their noses and admitted defeat. But Big Beard's heart was still not at ease. He was afraid that a long delay would bring trouble. What if after 2 days, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became? What if he couldn't control his anger and ordered the local ruffians of Whitewater River to stir up trouble? How about this? There is a scenic hotel 3 kilometers away from here. Although it is a little expensive and the conditions are not good, we can save a lot of time. Chen Guang, you and the other main leads, and take some of the weaker people with you to book the hotel. The rest of the people can set up tents here for the night. There are ready-made bedding and tents in the truck. You don't need to remove your makeup. We will start shooting at dawn tomorrow. After we finish here in the morning, we will go to the village about 10 kilometers away to shoot the remaining scenes. The day after tomorrow, we will go to another location, and the scenes in Baishui County will be finished. This way, we can at least save a day. What do you think, Chen Guang? Big Beard thought about it and asked. If it were not for Chen Guang and Jiang Yage in the team, Big Beard would have started work immediately if he said he wanted to set up tents and camp on the spot. Now, he had to consider Chen Guang and Jiang Yage's feelings. The young actresses next to him were a little reluctant, but they were not qualified to refute since the big shots did not say anything. They had seen the hotel in the morning when the motorcade passed by. They estimated that it could accommodate 30 to 40 people at most, and the remaining 60 to 70 people would probably have to set up tents. With their status, they might have to set up tents here. Director Deng, there won't be wild beasts at night in the wilderness, will there? At this moment, Shilu poked her head out from the side and said worriedly. In fact, Shilu had finished filming her walk-on scenes, but she still followed them to Kainan province this time. She had strongly requested to do so. Her reason was also very good. She realized that she and Jiang Yage had similar eyebrows and figures. If she were to put on makeup, she would even look like Jiang Yage from afar. She could even be a stunt double for Jiang Yage. Although her uncle, Shi Changhe, firmly opposed this, Shilu had already made up her mind, and his objection was ineffective. Her reason was very good. She had only acted with Chen Guang in Thunderstorm before, and her acting skills had changed dramatically. Now, even if she were to be a stunt double, as long as she could act with Chen Guang, the benefits were self-evident. As a director who had seen how good Chen Guang was, Shi Chang had deeply agreed with Shilu's opinion and was even happier because of her ambition. So, Shi Changhe once again shamelessly came to plead for mercy. After all, he was used to selling his face, so he sent Shilu back to beg for Big Beard Deng's help. In this drama, Jiang Yage was the leading actress. Although there were no martial arts scenes, there were a lot of scenes with a certain degree of danger. Although the film industry had developed to the present, and all aspects of safety protection had been in place, A-list stars still inevitably use stunt doubles to avoid accidents. After all, every day in superstar media was money. Even if there were a few minor injuries, as long as they couldn't go to work, it would still be a loss of tens of millions. Big Beard had never thought about this before. Later on, he asked Shilu to put on makeup. Needless to say, Shilu's appearance was a lot more similar to her previous stunt double. The biggest advantage was that she was trained in acting. Although her acting skills weren't very mature, they were still above average. Her talent in sports wasn't inferior to Jiang Yage's either. Even if it was just a long-distance shot or a simple jump scene, she was a lot better than her previous stunt double. In fact, she even took the initiative to imitate the aura of Jiang Yage. However, her identity was a little awkward. But, in the end, Big Beard Deng couldn't beat his old friend, Shi Changhe. Deep down, he also wanted a better effect. So, in the end, the matter was decided. Shi Changhe repeatedly reminded Big Beard Deng to take good care of Shilu. Big Beardy also guaranteed that he would split the scenes that would require a stunt double into two. The more dangerous and highly skilled thrilling moves would be done by a professionally trained stunt double. The less dangerous but simple jumps that required close-range shots would be done by Shilu. But, even though they were both stunt doubles, Shilu's status in the crew was still relatively high. After all, everyone had to give her some face. So, it was definitely not her turn to stay in the tent. She took the initiative to worry about it for the sake of the others in the crew, so it was not considered overstepping the rules. Big Beard thought for a while and said, "This is a scenic spot after all. During peak season, there are many people coming and going. It's impossible to let wild animals come close. There are so many of us, so it's fine to leave a few people to keep watch at night." "Oh, that's true." Shilu nodded, knowing that she was worrying too much. Chen Guang shrugged. "I'm fine with it. I can stay wherever I want, as long as I don't remove my makeup. It's too hard to change my middle-aged makeup now. It's torture to make me sit there for 2 hours without moving." Jiang Yage also said casually, "I'm fine with it too. I don't want to waste my time." Her idea was simple. First, she wanted to quickly finish filming the outdoor scenes and quickly go back to film the kissing scene. Second, she, Jin Shiyue, and Chen Guang were the main investors in the entire film, so they could save a day of filming and save a lot of money. Since the two biggest stars had expressed their opinions, even if the others had objections, they had no choice but to do so. After a simple cleaning up of the scene, Big Beard first asked Old Ma to go to the hotel that was built halfway up the mountain and grab all the remaining rooms. Then, he began to pick out people from the crowd. As expected, A-list and A-list celebrities like Chen Guang, Jiang Yage, Ren Chong, Zhao Yueling, and Zhou Ye were picked out first. Then, the two big-name cameos who had come over recently were also called. The rest were the more delicate girls in the crew and the older ones. They were all arranged to stay in the hotel. Big Beard himself chose to stay and did not go to a hotel with better conditions. That was his personality. To be a director who could convince people, he did not just rely on his glib tongue. More importantly, he had to set an example by doing what he preached. "I, Deng Xiaojiang, am staying in a tent. You guys can't just complain in your hearts, can you? Maybe I'll stay." After the others got into the car one after another, Chen Guang jumped out of the car and did not leave. He was still a little worried. As an investor, if anything happened, he would not be able to escape responsibility. Although the conditions of the hotel halfway up the mountain were not as good, their safety was guaranteed. This was tantamount to setting up camp in the wild, and it was in the depths of the lush forest. If Shilu really jinxed it, and a blind bear came out at night, it would be a big joke. When they heard that he was willing to stay, the people who were picked to stay in the tent were overjoyed. When Chen Guang smashed the table last night, although there were only a few main cast members present, after a whole day of spreading the news, everyone in the crew knew about it. No one knew what a real martial arts master was like, but as long as Chen Guang was there, even if a wild beast came, they would not be afraid. Everyone present felt that there were not many celebrities like Chen Guang these days. Not only did he not put on any airs, he was also very considerate. Compared to those little fresh meats who had been scolding people online recently, it was like heaven and earth. Big Beard was amused. "Then how about staying in the same tent with me tonight?" Chen Guang shook his head. No. I'll stay at the outermost area. If there's any movement, I'll be the first to know. If it wasn't for the fact that I have to act tomorrow, I'd be willing to keep watch." By the time everyone finished their lunch, the sky was almost completely dark. The tents were set up in the shape of a large fan along the foot of the mountain. In the middle of the tent, there was a bonfire made of dead wood that everyone had picked up. It was a different kind of atmosphere. Not long after, car lights came on in the distance. When it got closer, Jiang Yage jumped out of the car and waved from afar. "I'm back." Chapter 980. Jiang Yage waved to Chen Guang, who was sitting by the campfire and reading the script with a charging lamp. This time, the rest of the crew was really shocked. What did the delicate Jiang Yage mean by this? Big Beard was more flustered than anyone else. He quickly got up and greeted her. "Oh, Yage, what are you doing?" Jiang Yage stood still and said, "I'll stay here tonight too. Don't make trouble and go back quickly," Big Beard urged. Jiang Yage looked at Chen Guang, who was coming this way, and said with a smile, "The hotel room is a bit tight. Shi Lu has to squeeze into a bed with 2 other people. Doesn't she have a substitute tomorrow? I was afraid that her makeup would be ruined. Anyway, there were a lot of tents here, so I came back and let Shi Lu stay in my single room. Otherwise, her protective uncle might say that we treated his baby niece unfairly. Besides, isn't it safer to stay with Chen Guang?" Deng Xiaojiang's face stiffened. He thought she was right. "Aren't you afraid of catching a cold?" Jiang Yage wondered. Everyone has the same tent and sleeping bag. Others aren't afraid of catching a cold, so why should I be? Besides, it's not particularly cold. Am I that weak? Chen Guang greeted her. Okay, sleep whichever side you like." In fact, he had heard the conversation between Jiang Yage and Big Beard from a distance, and he suddenly realized that Jiang Yage was indeed safer by his side. It seemed more comfortable to let her stay in the hotel alone, but if that bastard Baoansang didn't give up and wanted to make trouble again, he might really make trouble without him by his side. Although the probability of such a thing happening was not high, the people arranged by Jiang Yage's grandfather had not finished collecting the evidence. They had not acted yet. It was better to be safe than sorry. They had boasted that they would not let Jiang Yage lose a single hair. Even if she was just frightened, they had lost. Seeing that Chen Guang had already expressed his stance, Big Beard couldn't say more and could only helplessly agree. "Where are you going to set up the tent?" Old Ma, who had been working tirelessly all day and had not had a chance to rest, came over to ask. It seemed that he still had work to do. Jiang Yage pointed at Chen Guang. "Of course it's next to him." As time went by, she couldn't help but indulge herself more and more. As long as he didn't sneak into the same tent as Chen Guang, people could gossip all they wanted. If anyone dared to go to the media and gossip, Jiang Yage had a million ways to dig them out. It wasn't the first time that Jiang Yage and Big Beard Deng had worked together as a team with each other. Most of the team were smart people, and no one would be stupid enough to go against their entire lives for a small profit. The night was long, and before they knew it, the moon was high up in the sky. The camp, which was made up of interlocking tents, was completely silent. Even the original owner of the camp, the crickets, had been chased far away and were chirping angrily. In the huge camp, the bonfire in the middle of the camp crackled from time to time under the watchful eyes of a night watcher who added firewood to the fire. The other 4 night watchmen held flashlights and iron rods in their hands, constantly patrolling around the camp. These night watchmen were all professional stunt doubles, and 3 of them were retired soldiers. They had their own jobs, so everyone was relieved to let them keep watch at night. Before they knew it, it was already 1:00 in the morning. Chen Guang walked out of his tent and bumped into a stunt double who was passing by. "Mr. Chen, can't sleep?" Chen Guang grinned. "A little. I'll go sit by the bonfire." Actually, he didn't know what was wrong with him tonight. He was fine before lying down, but after lying in bed, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. It wouldn't be a big deal if it was just his uneasiness, but he discovered that his internal energy and the earth burster ability, which hadn't shown any activity for a long time, had actually become more active than usual. This was obviously an extremely abnormal phenomenon. If it was in the past, he would definitely choose to enter the cup world to ask Azure what was going on. But now, he didn't dare to do so and was still hiding. Unable to figure out what was going on, and unable to sleep, Chen Guang could only get up. Perhaps breathing in the fresh mountain air would make him feel more refreshed. Sitting by the bonfire, he chatted with the night watchman who was in charge of adding firewood. From time to time, Chen Guang would raise his head to look at the starry sky, vaguely feeling that the starry sky was flickering faster than usual. It was as though the solidified air had swept across the surface of the earth, refracting the light of the stars. What was going on? Chen Guang shook his head, trying to get rid of the random thoughts in his mind. But it was of no use. In fact, ever since he returned from Mount Baylor after destroying the broken world, he would occasionally have this feeling. After killing Ouyang Tianqing and becoming a martial sage, this strange feeling became even stronger. He knew that this might have something to do with the heavenly Holy Grail, but there was nothing he could do. Dozens of kilometers away in Baiha County, the Bentley slowly drove into the villa district. In the afternoon, he entertained the bosses of the construction companies under him at his own clubhouse. After that, he went to the female secretary's house. When he returned home, it was already past 1 p.m. He had originally planned to not return home that night, but his heart felt uneasy and it was better to go back and take a look. From afar, he raised his head and saw that his 3-story villa was built halfway up the mountain. The light in the master bedroom was still on. When the car drove into the villa, he got out of the car and looked up to see that the light in the master bedroom on the 3rd floor had already been extinguished. His heart skipped a beat as he felt that something was wrong. He went upstairs but did not go to the master bedroom. Instead, he went straight to Bao En-sang's 2nd bedroom. He twisted the door lock from the outside and realized that it was locked from the inside. He then started to knock on the door as he shouted, "Little brat! Are you in there? Come out." There was no movement. The door to the master bedroom next door opened. It was his wife. "What are you shouting for? It's the middle of the night and you're not letting me sleep. Stop knocking, Bao En-sang is not in the mood to deal with you." Suddenly, Mao Fatsai understood that Bao En-sang was definitely not in there. He was so angry that he stomped his feet. "You stupid woman. Sooner or later, we will all die because of you." Ignoring him, Mao Fatsai turned around and held onto the stairs as he shouted, "Ma Song! Come up here." 30 seconds later, his bodyguard captain, Ma Song, walked up awkwardly. "Boss. Kick the door open." Mao Fatsai pointed at Bao En-sang's bedroom. Ma Song's face turned red. "That, boss, Master Mao is not in there. He left 3 hours ago." Mao Fatsai slapped Ma Song's face hard. "Are you treating my words as bullsh*t? Didn't I say that before those people leave, he is not allowed to go out?" Ma Song looked at the fat woman helplessly. His meaning was self-explanatory. Mao Fatsai could not take it anymore. He turned around angrily to look at his hopelessly stupid wife and gave her another slap. "You're going to kill me. You're really going to kill me." The fat woman was stunned by the slap. She stared at Mao Fatsai in disbelief. You actually hit me?" Mao Fatsai kicked her again. "Damn it, don't act in a drama with me. I'm hitting you. Do you know how scary Chen Guang is? He's 10 times scarier than the woman who killed old Gung with one slap. This matter could have passed, but you let your stupid son out. With his personality, he'll definitely go and cause trouble again. If we really piss him off, he can crush us with just a finger." The fat woman did not believe him. "You're talking nonsense. Don't brag. Who doesn't know that you killed old Gung because you wanted to take your brother's money? Don't make up nonsense like slapping someone into a tree or something. En-sung is your biological son. How can you bear to put him under house arrest? So what if he wants to go out and drink with his friends?" Mao Fatsai did not expect that his wife would not believe him even though he had only told her about it. She had always thought that he was the one who killed his brother, old Gung. "You." He was so angry that his lips were trembling. "You're so stupid. Why did I marry an idiot like you and give birth to an even more idiot? Drink some wine. If he really went out to drink, why would I care? He's going to poison all of us." The fat woman came back to her senses and pounced on Mao Fatsai hysterically. "You've finally said it, haven't you? That's what you've always been thinking, right? You've always despised the two of us, right? If my dad hadn't given you his sand quarry, would you be where you are today? You ungrateful ingrate. I'll fight it out with you. Get lost." Mao Fatsai was extremely impatient. He punched the fat woman hard in the face again. Then, ignoring her injuries, he shouted, "Ma Song, come with me. Hurry up and think of a way to contact En Song. You must pull him back quickly." The two of them went downstairs, but Ma Song held his phone helplessly. "Boss, I can't get through to Master Mao's phone. He's switched off his phone. His friends' phones are also switched off." Mao Fatsai was furious. He kicked the coffee table again, making a loud clang. "This idiot. Call people immediately. Call everyone from Tongyuan. Call the people from the other gangs too. Let's go into the mountain. Let's go into the mountain now. I hope it's not too late. Even if you want me to kneel and kowtow to Qin Guang, I'll do it." Get Rich Bag quickly walked to the door as he instructed. Suddenly, his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Mayor Hu. As soon as the call was connected, County Magistrate Hu's anxious voice could be heard. "Boss Mao. What the hell are you doing? Didn't you say you know what to do? Didn't you say you know what to do? It's your son's fault. Now that things have gotten out of hand, there's no way to clean up this mess. Are you going to drag everyone from Bai Shueha down to hell?" Mao Fatsai's hand trembled as he held his phone. His heart sank. "Old Hu, what's going on? I just found out that idiot En Sung escaped from home. What's wrong? You really have a good son. He brought people to kidnap Jiang Yage. Let me tell you, the one who called me and the secretary to ensure the safety of the crew was the leader of the provincial party committee. And the leader of our Kainan province's military. Jiang Yage and Qin Guang are very close. If anything happens to her, it won't be enough for all of us to chop our heads off 10 times. Mao Fatsai's body went limp, and he almost fell to the ground. His mind was filled with thunderclaps at the same time. He knew his son's character, and he would definitely not do anything good. Not only did he offend Qin Guang, who he could not afford to offend, but he also pierced the heavens. How did I, motherf asterisk cur, raising a bastard? It's all my fault for this stupid woman at home. Don't F asterisk king talk about who's to blame. The entire county's police force has been mobilized, and there's only one road from the scenic waterfall. You just have to pray that your son will bring people back, and we'll be able to block them. If something really happens, I'll escape to Burma tonight. Do as you see fit. Anyway, I'll say this, you'd better be mentally prepared. If Jiang Yage really loses a single hair, the best outcome would be to kill your stupid son and his accomplices on the spot. All of us might still have a chance of survival. County head Hu hung up the phone. Mao Fatsai struggled to get up from the ground and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Quick! Quick! Go into the mountains! Go into the mountains!" Chapter 981. Endless sirens rang through the entire two-lane road leading from Baishui County to the depths of the scenic area. The densely packed police cars were like ants moving house, drawing long shadows on the road. In the police station inside the entrance of the scenic area, Old Shin's face was even paler. He was desperately urging his colleagues in the station. "Hurry up. All of you, hurry up." He pointed at the intersection outside. "The police cars from the county branch are already in front of us. If we don't hurry up, we'll be punished. We'll all be in trouble." Among the 8 or 9 colleagues, many of them still looked extremely sleepy. It was obvious that they had just rushed over from their respective homes. Most of the staff in the scenic area police station lived in the city. The branch and a few police stations in the border city had already started moving, so these people either stared at their cars or rode electric cats to the scenic area police station. This was just a small scenic area police station, and only a few of the regular staff could afford their own cars. Moreover, when they heard that they were going to be dispatched, even if they had cars, they were smart enough to choose another route. No one was willing to drive their own car to the police station. "Chief Shen, we're all here, but there's only one van and one Jetta. It seems like we can't finish all of them. The deputy chief spoke as he took out a bottle of mineral water from the tail of the van and poured it down his head. He had no choice, as he had to drive later, so he needed to be refreshed. Old Shen first looked at the others, and calculated in his mind for about 10 seconds. Then he gritted his teeth and said, "All those above 30, get in the van. Young lads under the age of 30, you can go find your own bicycles, electric kittens, or borrow motorcycles from nearby. Even if you can't get anything, you have to walk over here. Let's go." This scene was happening in many police stations further away in Baishui County. Even in an Air Force training base about 100 kilometers away from here, 3 military helicopters that were in combat mode also took off without warning. As for the Baishui County Armed Police Squadron, they had gathered and set off even before the police system had reacted. Now, they were at the very front. It was the duty of the soldiers to obey orders, and so were the police officers. They didn't need to care about why they had to be dispatched. They only needed to get ready and set off after the order was given, and then appear at the place where they were needed within the stipulated time. Even though Old Shen didn't know the reason why they had to be dispatched so urgently, he subconsciously felt that it might have something to do with Bao Song. But now, he could not ask about it. Many people knew that he was close to Dan and Song, but in the face of such a major issue, he had to make his stand clear. All of a sudden, the entire Baishui County shook violently. This was no longer as simple as 3 tremors. This was a magnitude 8 earthquake. The head of the Kainan province's military, who was directly in charge of this matter, and the head of the Kainan province's police system, who was coordinating with him, shivered uncontrollably at the thought of this terrifying situation. Just now, they were worried that Baishui County didn't know the seriousness of the matter and would reveal Jiang Yage's true identity. That was why County Magistrate who said those words when he was talking to Fortune Bag. Under normal circumstances, even if a senior Chinese official had corruption or made some mistakes in principle, he wouldn't be sentenced to death as long as the impact wasn't too severe. However, if something were to happen to Jiang Yage in Baishui, the Bao father and son, as well as the entire Baishui County's officialdom, which had been entangled with the Bao father and son for so many years, would definitely be destroyed. Even the heads of 10 people might not be enough. At this time, Bao Song, who had caused a huge disaster, still didn't know what kind of hornet's nest he had poked. In order not to be affected by his meddlesome father, he even turned off his mobile phone and used the phone of the lackey he had pulled over to contact the lackey at the intersection. At this time, he was sitting in the middle of a 7-seater Toyota Prado with a face full of excitement and pride. There was also a Hyundai Tucson behind the Prado, and he had pulled a total of 9 people in the 2 cars, most of whom were his best buddies. There were 8 people in the 2 cars who had participated in the killing of the female student. Among this group of people, there was only one young man who was newly called. It was said that he was the son of a hunter in the mountains and was especially familiar with the mountainous areas. Bao Song was also thinking of finding an accomplice that his father wouldn't expect to use his mobile phone. As for his other buddies, they had all turned off their mobile phones under his request. Woo 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 woo. Sobs could be heard coming from the last row of the Prado, and the back of Bao Song's chair was being kicked. He was a little impatient and straightened his body to push the girl's leg down. "What are you screaming for? Are you afraid now? Weren't you very capable before? Didn't you think that you were a big shot? Did you think that I wouldn't dare to touch you? Why don't you find out what kind of person I, Bao Song, am? Do you think you're the first celebrity to fall into my hands? To tell you the truth, I, Bao Song, have never failed to sleep with a woman I want to sleep with." Bao Song couldn't help but feel proud. As he said these words, his mind was thinking of all the tapes, CDs, and VCDs he had collected over the years. Jiang Yage looked so youthful and invincible in the movies and MV. It wouldn't be long before he would trample on her pride and make her cry under his body. Actually, with his previous habits, he might not even need to take her away. He could just do it in the hotel room. After that, no one would be able to let out a fart. But in the end, he changed his mind and chose to tie her mouth, then use a sack to tie her up, carry her down, and stuff her into the car. The reason was very simple. Others didn't dare to stop him, but Qinguang did. Although he had a gun, Bao'an was also afraid that if Qinguang came in and killed him, he would be caught off guard. That slap was very vicious, and no one would be able to take it. Besides, this time, he didn't want to be the only one who was comfortable. Because of Qinguang and Jiang Yage, he and his father had lost face. He wanted to completely destroy Jiang Yage, both physically and mentally. So, he had to find another place where no one would disturb him. He and his brothers who were with him today would serve her well. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to feel at ease. She was lucky to be able to survive, and he could just let her go after that. Bao'an wasn't afraid that she would sue him. What a joke, did celebrities still want to earn money? If she was an ordinary woman, she might really go all out and sue him. But this was Jiang Yage, who was famous for her youthful image. Besides, Bao'an wasn't afraid that she would sue him at all. No one could do anything about what happened in Bai Shui's territory. If she was unlucky, she would die. Bao'an didn't think it was a big deal. He would dig a hole in the mountain and bury her. This wasn't the first time. He even made the people who went upstairs wear headgear, which was rare. This time, he was much more careful than before. The girl, who was trapped in the back, seemed to become even more irritable after hearing Bao'an's words. She bent her leg and wanted to kick his backrest, still whimpering. Don't waste your energy. Think about how you're going to serve me and my brothers later. If you perform well, you might still be able to live. At this moment, the old-fashioned phone in Bao'an's hand rang. It was a call from the informant hiding in the bushes at the intersection. Young Master Bao. Bad news. Bad news. Bao'an scolded impatiently. Stop talking nonsense. What exactly is it? Hurry up and say it. Did old Shen bring his men out? No. No. The person on the phone seemed to be too nervous and stuttered. Then why are you so surprised? Bao'an was about to hang up. So many police cars. So many police cars are following behind 8 trucks from the county. I feel that all the police officers in the county are on the move. It's so densely packed that I can't even count how many of them are there. Bao'an was so shocked that he almost dropped the phone in his hand. Brake. Hurry up and brake. After a short moment of confusion, he hurriedly shouted. At this moment, the off-road vehicle was driving back. From what the informant said, based on the commotion, it seemed that the entire nest had been mobilized, and the road would definitely be blocked. If he were to drive back in this direction, wouldn't he be walking right into a trap? Young Master Bao, the informant on the phone spoke again. What's the matter now? I've been discovered. The informant hiding in the bushes had a strong flashlight shining on his eyes, and he couldn't see anything clearly. A cold and dark muzzle was pointing at his head from the side. Bao'an cursed, F***ck. After that, he hung up the phone. His mind was extremely confused. Didn't he just kidnap a celebrity? Was this necessary? What exactly was going on? It was one thing for the police to be mobilized, but why did the armed police also take action? It wasn't worth it, right? He took out his phone, which had been switched off, and was a little hesitant. He wanted to turn on the phone and call his dad, but when he thought of Moneybag's insistence on placing him under house arrest, he couldn't help but feel a little indignant. He turned his head and looked at the young man beside him, who was dressed like a country bumpkin but had a fierce face. Hu Zi, are you familiar with this mountain? The young man called Hu Zi grinned. Brother Bao, it's not that I'm bragging, but in this area, even with my eyes closed, I can go into the mountains to hunt for deer to go with your wine. That's good. Bao'an gritted his teeth. Get out of the car. All of you, get out of the car. Bao Sung shouted and was the first to jump out of the car. He then called Hu Zi and another strong young man to carry the woman trapped in the black sack. Young Master Bao, this car, don't bother about it. Anyway, it's stolen from your garage. Later, you can tell your dad that it was stolen. Who cares if he believes it or not, anyway, we can get away with it. At Bao Sung's command, the group of 9 jumped off the road, turned around, and ran deep into the mountains. No matter how many people there were, as long as they couldn't catch them in the act, they could just make a detour and go back. How big of a deal is it? It must be that Hu Zi who is pretending to agree but secretly opposing, wanting to mess with me and my dad. Damn it, I have something on you, I'll deal with you later. But almost at the same time, at the campsite, Chen Guang, who had just returned to his tent to lie down for less than half an hour, was woken up by someone shouting. It was Big Beard Deng's voice, coming from a distance and getting closer, as if he was shouting and running at the same time. Actually, when Big Beard Deng shouted for the first time, the alert Chen Guang had already woken up, but he was wrapped in his sleeping bag, so it took some effort to unzip it and get out. Chen Guang, who was only wearing his long johns, opened the tent and walked out. Uncle, what's wrong? Did something happen? As Chen Guang asked, he craned his neck to look around the campsite. Other than a bear attacking the campsite, he really couldn't think of anything else that could make Big Beard so flustered. At this moment, Jiang Yage also poked her head out from her tent, and with sleepy eyes, she asked, Big Beard, what's wrong? At the same time, more and more people in the campsite poked their heads out from their tents to look around. Big Beard Deng looked flustered, his clothes disheveled, his hair disheveled, and he was still holding his phone with the screen lit up. He first looked at Chen Guang, then at Jiang Yage. His mind was still thinking about the deafening news from the phone call, but he was also thinking about Jiang Yage's identity. He took a deep breath, then shouted at Jiang Yage, bad news. Jiang Yage, you've been kidnapped. Huh? In the huge camp, similar voices of surprise rose and fell one after another, especially Jiang Yage's voice was the loudest. What the hell? Chapter 982. Aren't I right here? Jiang Yage stretched her hand out from the zipper of the tent and pointed at her own face, completely dumbfounded. Big Beard Deng was stunned. His half-asleep mind slowly became clear. That's right. Then what was that phone call just now? By Shueiha's county head who called to inform me that you were kidnapped by a few masked men at the scenic hotel. After a brief moment of confusion, Jiang Yage's expression changed. It's over. It was Shi Lu who had been kidnapped. I let her sleep in my room, and she didn't remove her makeup. She must have mistaken me for her. Big Beard Deng sat on the ground. His old friend Shi Chang's exhortations were still ringing in his ears. I'll *CK him. He never expected that nothing would happen to Shi Lu as a stunt double. Instead, she would be mistaken for Jiang Yage and kidnapped while she was resting. Even if those people masked their faces, it was obvious that the only person in Bai Shueiha County who could do such a thing was Bao Sung, that unlucky rich kid. This bastard's guts were so fat that they were about to explode. Chen Guang instantly understood the situation, and his face darkened. It wasn't strange that the other party kidnapped the wrong person. Big Beard pursued perfection when filming. The stunt makeup he did for Shi Lu was to recreate Jiang Yage's appearance. Moreover, the other party must have rushed into the room to kidnap Shi Lu. The lighting wasn't good, so it wasn't strange for them to kidnap the wrong person. Perhaps someone in the hotel had leaked the information to Bao Sung, and he knew that it was Jiang Yage's room. It was just that Jiang Yage ran out on her own, and no one noticed that the person in the room had changed. Although Chen Guang and Shi Lu had some conflicts during the filming of Thunderstorm, she apologized again and again, and Chen Guang knew that she didn't have any bad intentions, so he didn't care about it anymore. Later on, seeing that she was quite motivated, Chen Guang actually quite admired her. Recently, he had been giving her some pointers on her acting skills from time to time. Chen Guang knew that this little girl might have some feelings for him, but he didn't want to cause any more trouble, so he deliberately kept his distance. Gradually, her youthful feelings faded away, and she simply worshipped him. Now that she had become a scapegoat for Jiang Yage, Chen Guang felt that he could not ignore it. Do you know where the kidnappers went? I'll go save them. As Chen Guang spoke, he turned back into the tent, took out his coat, and quickly put it on. Big Beard seemed to be a little hesitant. He didn't want Chen Guang to take the risk, but when he thought of his skills, he felt at ease. Although he was bare-handed, the power of his slap was equivalent to holding a grenade in his hand. In addition, he seemed to have held a special position in the past. Maybe he was even more powerful than the Soldier King in the novel that a certain producer had recommended to him. Big Beard was also very anxious. After all, that was his niece that his old friend had asked him to take good care of. If something really happened, he couldn't explain it to Shi Changhe. Now that Chen Guang set off from here, he might arrive faster than the police. So, he really had to count on him. After county head who said that the kidnappers were kidnapped, he drove 2 SUVs in the direction of the county town. This road in the scenic area is a dead-end road, and there's only one direction in the county town. Now, all the people in the county town have been mobilized, and the armed police have also been mobilized. If we're lucky, we might be able to catch them on their way back. But it seems that they've sent spies at the intersection. We can't rule out the possibility that the kidnappers abandoned the cars and went into the mountains. All the police and armed police have been mobilized? Chen Guang asked. Big Beard nodded. That's right. After all, they thought that the person who was kidnapped was Jiang Yage. As old Deng spoke, he turned his head to look at Jiang Yage. He didn't know if he should feel lucky or have a headache. Even if it was Shi Lu, it wouldn't be a good thing. All right. I'll go save them. As Chen Guang spoke, he turned and was about to leave. Jiang Yage suddenly rushed out of the tent. She was also very agile and had actually dressed up. Wait a minute, I'll go with you. What are you going to do? Big Beard Deng immediately wanted to dissuade her. But Jiang Yage went straight to Chen Guang. I was the one who let Shi Lu stay in my room, and she was thought to be kidnapped. I can't just sit back and do nothing. Old Deng still wanted to stop her. What can you do to help? Unexpectedly, Chen Guang nodded vigorously. That's right. Get on my back. I'll carry you. That way, it'll be faster. Chen Guang agreed to Jiang Yage's seemingly unreasonable request. The reason was simple. Even though there were many people here, the safest place was undoubtedly by his side. There was no other choice. Anyway, the speed of running alone or running with her on his back was about the same. Instead of leaving her here, it was better to bring her with him. If he left, that rich second-generation surnamed Bo realized that he had caught the wrong person and boldly came back. Then, he would be lured away, leaving his rear defenseless. If Jiang Yage was really kidnapped, it would be a big problem. Jiang Yage flew to Chen Guang's back. Big Beard still wanted to dissuade her. This isn't good. Isn't Solomon more of a hindrance than a help? Don't take her with you, okay? It's not safe. Chen Guang waved his hand. There's nothing unsafe about it. She's the safest with me. In order to dispel Big Beard's doubts, Chen Guang didn't have time to explain to him slowly. There was a basketball-sized stone next to him. Chen Guang held Jiang Yage's buttocks with his right hand and kicked the stone with his left foot. He then clenched his left hand into a fist and punched the stone in the middle of the air. With a loud explosion, the stone that Chen Guang's fist hit instantly exploded into a torrential downpour of pear blossoms. The pear blossoms scattered into the forest, startling countless birds. 2 or 3 trees in the distance slowly collapsed. It was obvious that the stone had broken their trunks. Big Beardy and the crew members behind him were dumbfounded. Their minds were in a daze. What was this? Human shotgun? No, human cannon? This guy could turn grass, trees, flying stones into knives, spears, swords, and halberds. Everyone couldn't help but sympathize with the group of people who had kidnapped Shi Lu. Regardless of whether Shi Lu was hurt or not, those people were probably going to die. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Mr. Chen, let's go together. A few stunt doubles wanted to follow. But this time, Chen Guang didn't want to waste any more time. He ran forward with Jiang Yage on his back. He said loudly, "No need. Be careful here in case the kidnappers have accomplices. Just don't let anything else happen." Before he could finish his sentence, he and Jiang Yage had already disappeared hundreds of meters away. In the distance, only a spot of light could be seen shooting away. It should be Jiang Yage holding a strong flashlight that the crew used to illuminate the area. What kind of speed was that? Usain Bolt won the Olympic gold medal only because you didn't participate in the Olympics. You're not a leg, but a pair of flaming wheels, right? Director Deng, should we inform the people in Baishui County that the kidnappers caught the wrong person? Old Ma, who was dressed crookedly, poked his head out from beside Big Beard and asked. Big Beard shook his head. No, tell everyone to pack up. We'll gather at the hotel first. I think the police will be here soon. We might have to go into the mountains to help search for the kidnappers. Inform the others too. Don't tell the police that the kidnapped person is not Jiang Yage, but Shi Lu. Old Ma was stunned for a moment, then suddenly understood. Got it. Big Beard's consideration was understandable. He thought that the kidnapped person was Jiang Yage, so all the military and police in Baishui County had been mobilized. But if they knew that Jiang Yage was safe and sound and that the kidnapped person was just another small star, even if she was the niece of the famous director Shi Changhe and had some status, there was no doubt that she was far inferior to Jiang Yage. The other party's search and rescue efforts, and even their attitude towards this matter, would be greatly weakened. This was not difficult to understand. It was a very common understanding of the world. Shi Changhe had some status in the entertainment industry, but his niece was just a relative of an artist. She could not be mentioned in the same breath as a talented girl like Jiang Yage. Hiding a little information and telling a white lie would not change the other party's ultimate goal of searching for the hostage. Instead, it would make the military and police involved in the mission maintain a higher degree of attention on this matter. Even for the grassroots police, it was the same to save whoever was saved. As long as they gave the order, they could search the mountains and pursue the kidnappers. But the people Big Beard Deng wanted to hide were the middle and high-level officials like County Magistrate Hu. In order to protect their positions, they would definitely work harder to mobilize all the resources they could. If it were Shi Lu, she would definitely not receive such treatment. The earlier they rescued her, the earlier Shi Lu would be out of danger, and the less likely she would be hurt. Even if it was just a 1 in 1,000 chance, Big Beard Deng was willing to bear the responsibility of hiding the information. He was not afraid of being investigated later. On the other side, Wang and Song and the rest got out of the car and went deeper into the mountains. Hu Zi was not bragging. As a professional hunter, he actually carried a portable GPS device with him. With this device, it was much more convenient to locate them. They hurried along the way. Brother Bao, where should we go now? Hu Zi was in charge of leading the way, but he did not have a clear direction. We've already gotten out of the car and ran for about 10 minutes. We're almost a kilometer away. If we go any further, we'll really be deep in the mountains. Wang and Song urged, so what if we're deep in the mountains? Hurry up. Hurry up. Hu Zi shone the flashlight in front of them. What they saw was a rather dense forest. The wind blowing out of the forest had a damp and cold smell. Here, we're still considered a human settlement that has been cleaned up from time to time. But after passing through this forest, we might encounter wild beasts if we go further in. Wang and Sung asked, will there be ferocious beasts? Hu Zi nodded. That's possible. Bears are the most common. Chapter 983. Wang and Sung asked again, then where do we go from here? How long will it take to get there? Hu Zi did not slow down and replied without hesitation, if we walk straight ahead for about 25 miles, we will reach the neighboring county's Maji town. If my dad and I go hunting in the mountains, we can reach there in about 5 to 6 hours. But Master Wang, you are not familiar with the roads in the mountains, and we are carrying a person. I estimate that it will take at least 8 hours to reach Maji town. Wang and Sung thought for a while, we are not afraid of wild beasts, we have 3 guns, but the person we are carrying, he wanted to let them leave the sack here, but he was reluctant to do so. It wasn't that he was worried that Jiang Yage would die here. He didn't care about Jiang Yage's life or death at all. It was just that he had spent so much effort today and alarmed so many people. So far, he hadn't even had a sip of soup before leaving Jiang Yage here, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Let her come down and walk by herself. Why does she have to carry it? She saves energy, but I am tired. Another person who was carrying the sack with Hu Zi said while panting. Wang and Sung squeezed the gun in his hand and thought that it made sense. That's true. Shi Lu wanted to hit Wang and Sung the moment she was put down, but the black muzzle was pointed at her head. Wang and Sung said coldly, you are messing around, why don't you try again? Shi Lu froze on the spot. Her adrenaline was still stimulating the top of her head, but her remaining rationality told her that the man in front of her might really shoot. I am still young, I cannot die here. I must think of a way to survive. Shi Lu stopped fooling around. Instead, she turned her head and looked around. She knew from the beginning that these people had already brought her into the mountain. As far as she could see, the mountain was pitch black. I will pretend to walk with them, and when they are not paying attention, I will turn around and run deep into the dark mountains. Maybe I can escape. If I really can't escape, and these people want to use force, I will fight with them, even if I am killed in one shot. But now, I cannot give up until the last moment. I won't mess around. Shi Lu forced herself to calm down, and then pretended to be timid as she replied. Actually, she didn't need to pretend. She was really scared at this moment. It's good that you're sensible. Let's go. Follow in front. Dang and Sung grinned smugly. Seeing that she was so obedient, he thought of Jiang Yage's cold and aloof demeanor at the banquet yesterday. Now, she was like a frightened rabbit, and he felt a strange sense of accomplishment. As for Chen Guang, he carried Jiang Yage on his back and walked back the way they came. In less than 2 minutes, they passed by the hotel in the scenic area, which was now in a mess. At this moment, the assistant director was leading a group of people to make a scene at the hotel, accusing the hotel management of being irresponsible. Who would dare to come up and kidnap someone? The hotel knew that there was definitely a mole among their own people, but they couldn't catch the mole in such a short time. The people that Wang Tsang found were all local gangsters, and they were familiar with the hotel's layout. They ran out of the fire escape after kidnapping the people, and the hotel didn't notice anything at all. Of course, even if they found out, if the mole revealed his identity, the hotel wouldn't be able to do anything to Wang Tsang and his group. They had been acting like tyrants in Baishui County for a long time. Jiang Yage, who was lying on Chen Guang's back, saw the commotion and asked, should we go over and help? Chen Guang shook his head. No, the police will deal with it when they arrive. These are all small matters. We just need to save the people first. Turn off the flashlight. Why? Isn't it because we can't see the road? Jiang Yage didn't understand. Chen Guang patted her butt. Actually, the flashlight is for you to light the way. I don't need to look. Why? I practice kung fu to support night vision. In this regard, Chen Guang really wasn't bragging. There were more than 400,000 kinds of martial arts in Zhenwujie. Among them, there were no less than 10,000 that strengthened eyesight. After coming out to the real world, although the power of his martial arts was weakened due to the weakening of yin and yang qi, he was able to use his eyes to see the road clearly with the help of the weak starlight and moonlight in the sky. It was no different from daytime. Jiang Yage didn't believe it at first. After trying to turn off the flashlight for more than a minute, Chen Guang was still walking as if he was flying. He wasn't affected at all. You really have night vision? What else? Do you think I'm bragging? 360 degrees soft night vision illuminates your beauty. Stop talking nonsense. We are in a hurry to save people. I didn't slow down. Didn't you notice that we are almost flying? Chen Guang really wasn't joking. At this time, under the burst of his internal strength, he could cover more than 10 meters in a step. However, most of his strength was used to push forward. He didn't raise his height much, so Jiang Yage didn't feel it was obvious. The two of them ran forward for nearly 10 minutes. They arrived at the place where Nam Yunkang and his group abandoned the car before the armed police and police. They saw two SUVs parked on the side of the road. Chen Guang touched the hood of the Overlord. It's still hot. The engine has been off for almost half an hour. Jiang Yage was surprised. How do you know? Chen Guang didn't explain to her. It would be complicated if he explained it. As the invincible god of racing, he was familiar with the performance of all the cars in the world. The Overlord was a large SUV that sold well. Chen Guang was even more familiar with it. He was very familiar with the structure of the car. When the engine was working, the speed at which the heat dissipated after the engine was off. He had a basic idea of the temperature of the car when the engine was running. His guess in half an hour might not be completely accurate, but it was close. Then, where did they escape to? Jiang Yage turned her head and looked around. She felt that both sides of the road were dense forests. It was so quiet that there wasn't any sense of direction. Should I call the police? Jiang Yage asked again. Chen Guang shook his head. No need. I know where they went. I also know that Shi Lu is being carried by someone. How did you know? Chen Guang slapped her but heavily again. Don't ask so many whys. Are you 100,000 whys or something? Save them first. Chase. Alright, that's true. Chen Guang turned around and carried Jiang Yage into the forest. He didn't slow down at all. After 2 or 3 steps, thunder roared in the sky. In an instant, bean-sized raindrops poured down. Even though the leaves were dense, it couldn't stop them for a moment. In less than 30 seconds, large droplets of water began to patter down on the mountain forest. Jiang Yage was still lying on top of Chen Guang, her chest pressed tightly against his back. The sky and earth were filled with the pitter-patter of the heavy rain, but Jiang Yage's heart was exceptionally calm. This was because she realized that no matter how heavy the rain was, or how heavy the raindrops were, they couldn't land on her. The large raindrops passed through the forest and fell from the sky. However, they would always explode about 3 feet above her and Chen Guang's head, and then turn into water that flowed in all directions. It was as if there was a transparent umbrella above their heads. This must be some kind of kung fu of his. It was really amazing. This is bad. As the two of them ran, Chen Guang suddenly stopped in his tracks. What's wrong? The ground is a little soft. Previously, when Wen Song and his group passed by, they more or less left some footprints. Now that the rain is too heavy, I'm afraid that their footprints will be washed away soon. Chen Guang frowned as he stared ahead. His speed had unknowingly slowed down, and it was getting harder and harder to distinguish the footprints. Then what should we do? Jiang Yage said anxiously. Chen Guang put her down. Come down first, I'll think of a way. As he spoke to Jiang Yage, Chen Guang looked up at the sky. It was a pity that he hadn't learned how to track and capture special agents. If he had known that this would happen, he would have looked for Dai Quan, the leader of Xinqing clan, to learn some skills. At this moment, he wanted to make a last-minute effort, but the Holy Grail was left in the satchel at the side of the tent. It was a good idea to wait for the police here. Maybe they had police dogs, but it would take an hour to drive from the county to this location, and it would take at least an hour for them to catch up with him and Jiang Yage. Chen Guang couldn't wait any longer. What he was afraid of now was that once Wu Song realized that the pursuers were too strong, he would simply kill them. Although he had many tricks up his sleeve, he couldn't snatch a life from the hands of the King of Hell. It would be too unjust to let Shi Lu die just like that. Jiang Yage didn't know what he was planning, but seeing his solemn expression, she didn't dare to disturb him. Chen Guang wrinkled his nose and slightly relaxed his power. He let a drop of rainwater the size of a bean fall on his fingertip and looked down at the rainwater. The air was filled with the sour smell of dried branches and rotten leaves after being soaked in rainwater, but it was mixed with the fragrance of plants. Chen Guang smelled a different and familiar smell from this smell. The rainwater that was wrapped by his inner strength floated on his fingertip, and there was a different light that only he could see. On the whole earth, there had always been yin and yang qi that was infinitely similar to the yin and yang qi in the realm of true martial arts. However, it was so thin that it was almost undetectable, but it was of a higher realm. As for this kind of aura, there was actually no clear name in the real world. Those who cultivated their inner strength at sunrise or midday would call it the essence of the sun. People who practiced inner strength in the middle of the night would call it the essence of the moon, or the essence of the moon, and so on. People who practiced inner strength in the middle of the night would call it the essence of the moon, or the essence of the moon, and so on. In Wenwen's painting volume, it was called the righteous qi of the heaven and earth. People who practiced martial arts accumulated inner qi, breathed in and out, communicated with heaven and earth, and used it as the foundation and source to accumulate inner strength. In addition to the inner qi in the Dantian, there were these different names, but the essence was exactly the same essence of heaven and earth. Otherwise, why did so many people like to practice in the beautiful mountains and forests, but make slow progress in the urban forest composed of steel and concrete? Even the Wen family, who had the art of stealing heaven, built their headquarters in the secret realm of the Wen family, which was rarely visited by people. As a martial arts museum, Chen Guang had felt the more straightforward yin and yang qi in the realm of true martial arts. After he came out of the realm of true martial arts, he generally classified it as essence of the spirit. However, this essence of the spirit was not the essence of the Xianxia stories, but referred to the spirit of outstanding people, the spirit of heaven and earth, and the spirit of all things. One spirit gave birth to Tai Chi gave birth to Yin and Yang gave birth to the 4 phases, and the 4 phases gave birth to the 8 trigrams, and so on. According to Chen Guang's understanding, essence of the spirit was all-encompassing and covered a wide range of things. It could be the inner strength accumulated in the body when a martial artist practiced inner strength, or it could be the fresh air that ordinary people breathed in to strengthen their bodies. At this moment, the air that Chen Guang was smelling was hidden under all kinds of smells, but it was a wisp of essence of the spirit. He had occasionally felt it before, but he had never understood it as clearly as he did now. This meant that the concentration of essence of the spirit had increased, at least twice as much as before. As for the glow in the water droplets on his fingertips, it belonged to another kind of power, a higher level power. It was the power of the Holy Grail released by his heavenly Holy Grail. This power was purer and more original, and even made the supernatural ability of the earth burner in his body more active, as if it was cheering and jumping for joy. Chen Guang did not know what was going on. He did not open any world in the cup, but why did the power of the Holy Grail and the essence of heaven and earth suddenly become more intense? Is it because I am in a hurry to save someone, so I am highly nervous, and the heavenly Holy Grail automatically cooperated with me? That's not right. This feeling did not suddenly appear today, but had been lingering ever since he returned from the Baylor Mountain of the Shattered World. Previously, the power of the Holy Grail in this world had always been becoming more intense, and this trend had never stopped. It was only today that the quantitative change finally triggered a qualitative change, crossing a certain boundary. At this moment, Dan and Sung and his group of 9 people were escorting Shi Lu, braving the heavy rain and stepping on the mud, moving forward with difficulty. Chapter 984. Brother Bao, we're 2F** King unlucky. Hu Zi grumbled as he chopped down the bushes in front of him. Why is it raining so heavily for no reason? Bao and Sung glared at him. Isn't this your fault? Didn't you say that you know the situation in the mountains like the back of your hand? Didn't you feel anything when it rained so heavily? Hu Zi scratched his head. Speaking of which, it's strange. Usually, when my dad and I go hunting in the mountains, we can smell the moisture in the air with just a twitch of our noses. We can tell if it's going to rain or how heavy it will be. But today, when we got out of the car and ran, I smelled it. There were almost no clouds in the sky, and there were no signs of rain. Look, there aren't any clouds yet. This weather is too weird. Stop talking nonsense and lead the way. Brother Bao, why don't we think of a way to go back? The rain can wash away the footprints we left earlier, and the police dogs don't like our smell. This is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. The road has become more difficult to walk. Based on the current situation, we might not be able to reach Maji town in another 10 hours. I'm not afraid, but I'm afraid that you guys and this woman won't be able to hold on. Hu Zi pointed to Shi Lu, who was surrounded by the crowd. She was limping, and her face was covered in rain and mud. She looked extremely pathetic. When it rains, it pours. Shi Lu's luck index today was as high as 10,000 points. When she was walking just now, she accidentally slipped and fell, and her ankle might have been sprained. Now, not to mention suddenly running away, it took all her strength just to stand. Bao and Sung looked at Shi Lu impatiently. Jiang Yage, hurry up. Don't dilly-dally, or I'll shoot you and let you feed the wolves here, believe it or not. Shi Lu trembled. She knew that she had been made a scapegoat, but she didn't expose her identity. Instead, she gritted her teeth without saying a word and forced herself to keep up with Hu Zi's pace. She lowered her head and didn't make a sound. Hu Zi turned back and said, Brother Bao, don't make such jokes when we're in the mountains. What joke? Don't talk about wolves. Although the most ferocious beasts in this mountain are bears and tigers, the biggest threat to humans is the wolf pack. They form groups and attack from the front and back, unlike lone bears. Some wolves aren't even afraid of gunshots when their ferocious nature kicks in. Dan and Sung curled his lips nonchalantly. I'm just saying. I won't really come. Sigh, if you believe it, it won't work if you don't believe it. When we're in the mountains, we have to be careful with our words. All right, I won't say anything. Do we continue forward or go back? Tiger asked again. Wonk and Sung hesitated for a moment, then took out his phone. He thought that if he walked further in, his phone would probably lose signal. Run away now and don't come back. The further, the better. Is it that serious? I'm not joking with you. Jiang Yage has a powerful background. Even if you return her unharmed, I'm afraid things won't end well. According to some people, you have to be killed on the spot for the rest of us to survive. I'm already prepared to run away. Don't look back either. The further, the better. County head who had misjudged Wonk Fat Eye. All along, Wonk Fat Eye had always been decisive and strict with Wonk and Sung in the eyes of outsiders. As a result, County head Hu and the others felt that he didn't have much affection for his good-for-nothing son. That was why County head Hu had blurted out that he wanted to kill Wonk and Sung in advance. He had even hoped that Wonk Fat Eye would have some way to contact Wonk and Sung and calm him down before taking action himself. But Wonk Fat Eye would never eat his cubs. All along, he was the one who was most protective of his cubs. His wife was just a way for him to save face. No matter how much he tried to push the blame onto his wife, if it wasn't for him, the head of the household, who had turned a blind eye to it and helped Bang and Sung clean up his mess every time, how could he have raised such a foolish son who didn't care about the consequences? Oh, alright. Wonk and Sung looked at Shilu's back view. The smugness and desire in his heart had mostly dissipated. Perhaps it was because of the cold rain on his head, or perhaps it was because he was frightened by Wonk Fat Eye's words. Wait. Wonk Fat Eye suddenly said. What's wrong? Wait a moment. The armed police and the county's police should be entering the mountains soon. I've asked around, and they have police dogs with them. You might not be able to escape. What? Then what should I do? Tell me your current location. I'll bring some people to meet up with you. If they really catch up, we will fight them for a while. But what? But the real scary thing isn't the police. It's Chen Guang. Wonk, you've watched wuxia dramas before, right? Chen Guang is the kind of hero in the dramas who kills a person every 10 steps and leaves no trace behind. You must be wary of him. Don't think that you'll be safe just because you have a gun. That's impossible, right? Look at the situation now. Do you think I'm joking with you? I'm going to risk my life to fight someone for you. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me your location. Wonk Fat Eye, who was sitting in the Bentley, gritted his teeth. He thought of the big guns in his trunk and decided to go all out. Wonk and Sung hurriedly called Tiger over and told him their current location, as well as the approximate route they had chosen at the last minute. The father and son hung up the phone. Ma Song, who was sitting beside Wonk Fat Eye, asked doubtfully, Boss, are we really going to do this? Wonk Fat Eye stared at him fiercely. What else can we do? Watch my son die in front of you? I still have a lot of assets overseas. As long as we escape, as long as there's life, we won't have to worry about young Chai. Otherwise, even if we really shoot Wonk down, I'm afraid we'll still be hunted down later. If Hu Jintao wants to escape, then even Master won't be able to protect us tomorrow. We have to rely on ourselves. Brother Bun, what did your dad say? Tiger quickly asked Wonk and Sung. Wonk and Sung gritted his teeth. What else can we do? Run. We can't go back to Baishui County now. If we go back, we'll really die. We've stirred up a hornet's nest. That's right, that woman is a hornet's nest. He pointed at Shilu's back and said, just follow the route you told my dad just now. He'll be waiting for us in the car with his men. We won't go to Maji Town. How long do you think it'll take for us to reach the mountain road? 3 hours if we're fast, 4 if we're slow. That's fine. As long as we meet up with my dad before they catch up, we'll be able to escape. Don't stop. Hurry up. Stupid woman, you better hurry up too. I'm dead because of you this time. You have such a powerful background, why are you hiding it? If you had told me earlier, would I have attacked you? It's all your fault that we ended up like this. Wonk and Sung took 2 steps forward and wanted to lift his leg to kick Shilu. Unexpectedly, Shilu quickened her pace and took a step forward, causing him to kick the air. The rain and wind caused the temperature to drop exceptionally low. After walking for a long time, the pain in her ankle was so numb that she couldn't feel it. A strong desire to live supported every inch of space in her mind. Shilu's steps became firmer and faster, and she was just barely able to keep up with the others. Her determination temporarily saved her life. Since she had already decided to escape, once she showed any signs of not being able to keep up, dragging the others down, or showing signs of wanting to escape, Wonk and Sung would shoot her without hesitation. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.